All right, welcome to Films from the Phantom Zone. This is your podcast about failed and forgotten comic book movies, where we watch a forgotten superhero movie and decide, does this belong in the Phantom Zone or out in the world for everyone to rewatch and remember fondly? Okay, so having said that, Berto, what movie are we watching today?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
We are watching Ninja Turtles 2 because we watched Ninja Turtles, original Ninja Turtles, from 1990 last week. We went on for about 2 hours on the Ninja Turtles in general. We talked about different iterations, all the things that came with that movie. So the comic book stuff, some of the cartoon stuff. That was a movie that was very much inspired by a little bit of the cartoon, but a lot of the comic, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see how I think this movie kind of shifts that scale pretty heavily.
Oh, yeah. Like almost a 180.
So as is tradition around here, we do entire franchises at a time. So having started with Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze from 1991. It took them a whole year to make this movie.
Real quick turnaround on that.
Yeah, they wanted to, I guess, strike while the iron was hot.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that they thought Turtle Mania was going to go away. And they needed to just pump out another movie.
Capitalize on it before it wasn't popular anymore.
Exactly. Joke's on them. It's still one of the most popular IPs out there.
Yeah.
And inspired so many copycats. Did you ever watch what's it called? Street Sharks?
I've seen it before.
Is that what it's called? Am I crazy?
I think it's Street Shark. It was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was
90s
a cartoon. It's they're sharks. There's I think 4 of them. And they swim in the concrete, kind of like sand sharks, like that, but street sharks.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb. If you missed that episode, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's been out for a minute, so check that out. Again, we went in deep. I don't think we're gonna go in as deep today because this movie is a little less. We'll get into it.
There's just a little less there.
There's a little less of it all around. I think it's just a little. It's like the first movie light,
Yeah. I think there's also literally less of it because I think it's slightly shorter than the first one.
Yeah, it's 5 or 6 minutes shorter, I think, when it's all said and done. So this movie is available on HBO Max. There are time codes in the description if you want to jump around. We talk about our initial expectations, plot on the movie. We analyze the movie to the best of our ability. We do my favorite segment, Keep or Cancel. And then at the end, we decide if we're going to put this movie in the Phantom Zone or not. But today for Keep or Cancel, in lieu of any big stars, there's 6 or 7 people in this movie that are just mildly interesting. So I thought we would just do a rapid fire Keep or Cancel lightning round.
Yeah, because I like that because there's not really any huge stars in any of these movies, really.
No, and I feel like that's something we can maybe do in the future too. Just do a lightning round for 4 or 5 people or whatever.
Yeah,
cool. All right, well let's get into this movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. I don't know if there's a "the" on there, but longest title ever. Initial expectations. Do you have any?
I remember seeing this movie in particular as a kid. Probably because this was the one that was constantly shown on TV. I might have had the VHS for it. I was so young, I don't remember details. But I do remember enjoying it as a kid. So going in again, I thought, it was just going to be a goofy, lighthearted, fun movie. Nothing special, just a fun movie. And
what I said last week is that I had seen that last movie that we watched realistically probably a little under 100, a lot. And this one is same deal. I think I watched these two about the same, maybe this one even more, just because I would have been, I'm talking about ages 5 through 10. This would have been the more kind of suitable movie, the more attractive movie for a kid.
Be a lot easier for a kid to follow what's going on in this movie.
Yeah, it's more digestible for kids.
Yeah.
It's a much simpler plot, I think.
Yeah, they try to get a little deep with it, but it isn't.
Not that the last one was complicated, it's just that this one's kind of hey kids, here, you can digest it better, and it is more kiddie, right? And the last one is a little bit more dark, a little bit more for adults, but. So at one point in my life, I probably had this film memorized. Since around that time, I haven't watched it since. So going into this, I didn't really remember much of anything. Certain things would pop back into my head. I'm oh, I remember that. And then all the little kind of adult references that I'm just now understanding that I didn't before. Right. You know what I mean? Unlike the last one that I had seen a lot as an adult as well. This is one that I knew was inferior, so I just never watched it as an adult. So this was not an entirely new experience, but it was kind of fun getting back into it, like not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
That being said, we talked last week about who the Ninja Turtles are. If you don't know, that's Sirius Black. I'm just kidding. If you don't know that the Ninja Turtles, who they are, like, come on. First of all, you're probably not listening to this. But in all seriousness, if you don't watch that one, we kind of talked about it for a minute, and we talked a lot about their origin and the first issue of their comic book, which is what a lot of that movie's based on. All right, let's get into the plot. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a dedication to Jim Henson because he had died right as the last movie came out.
Okay. So
I'm not
like
sure.
1990 or?
Yeah, I don't know if he even lived to see it in theaters. He would have if they didn't dedicate
So that
one.
last movie was his last project?
Maybe. I don't know if there was something else going on.
Okay.
Recall that Jim Henson's Creature Shop are the people making the costumes for this, right?
Yeah.
After that, we open again in New York City at night. Literally everyone in sight is eating pizza. A pizza delivery boy, Kino, takes a large order for April O'Neil. All right, so this just made me want pizza. I don't know about you.
Yeah. As I was watching this, I'll admit I ordered pizza this morning.
Are you serious? It worked on you?
It worked.
It's
I ordered Domino's.
That's so funny. That's honestly might be one of the better parts of this movie. Is this montage is really well done.
Yeah. But it also made me think, and I'm surprised I didn't catch this during the first movie. In the first movie, the turtles are constantly eating like Domino's pizza. But you live in New York City. Why are you eating Domino's and not getting like a New York slice?
Yeah.
Because in this montage, people are clearly eating like New York slices. They're big, they're cheesy. Like it looks like you're gonna choke on the cheese.
It's the classic New York slice, which is like large.
Yeah. But yeah, people are eating it while they're walking. They're eating it while they're driving.
I like that there's two cops eating pizza, and then the bad guy
is
arrested to one of them. Yeah, or is handcuffed to one of them, and he doesn't get any pizza.
Yeah.
There's a couple having like fancy cocktails and then having a big slice of pizza. No pun intended. You're in a kind of cheesy version of New York City. You know what I mean?
And it works pretty well.
It's New York City. Everyone loves pizza. Everyone's out late at night. Might have been one of my favorite parts of this whole movie. Bad trajectory after this is all I'm saying. And by the way, this Kino guy's a perv. And he fat shames that random girl for no reason.
He's also a teenager living in New York City, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he hits on a girl and she's like,
keep dreaming.
Yeah, and he goes, one of my dreams, I want to dream of someone thinner, and drives off.
And he thinks he's so fucking funny for it.
She was not overweight. They all were just like very
normal people.
Sized. Yeah. Anyway, Kino finds some burglars and beats them up. When more show up, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arrive to Kino's astonishment. They fight the thugs without using their weapons and have a great time doing so. Mikey fights with a yo-yo and sausage links, and Donatello pretends to be an inflatable clown, etc. The opening fight scene.
This was very much like a Power Rangers-esque fight scene.
I think it's better than that, at least. Yeah, you think?
There's like some goofiness going on, but they're still doing like legitimate martial arts.
Yeah. One of the cruxes of the problems of this film is that they each have their signature weapons.
And they're not allowed to use them.
Yeah. Apparently, there were a lot of parental groups that complained when the last movie that was, again, a very small budget film that was mostly inspired by the very graphically violent comic book with tons of murdering going on. When that movie becomes like a overnight sensation, obviously, like, they didn't know that this many kids would be watching it.
Yeah.
And now the parents get involved. And they had a big problem with the weapons, the violence, and Casey Jones. Because we said that.
Casey Jones isn't even in this movie.
That's why he's not in this movie. Yeah. He was replaced with Kino. Kino replaces that role.
Because, I mean, kids can't look up to an unhinged man. An unhinged vigilante beating the shit out of people.
Yeah. And, like we said, he uses things that all children have. Baseball bats, hockey sticks,
golf clubs.
Yeah. Very accessible things, right? So I don't have a problem with them not using their weapons here because they're fighting a gang. They're not fighting the Foot.
No, it's just like
thugs. Normal
teenagers.
Yeah, normal thugs robbing a mall. They're so incompetent at fighting that the Ninja Turtles are just fighting circles around them. And they're having a good time doing it. Yeah. And there was a level of like, yeah, they wouldn't pull out their deadly weapons in the situation.
No. But later in the movie, I start to have a problem with this.
Absolutely. Yeah. But at least here, they thought this through and they're like, okay, they're just beating these guys up because...
like a goofy little fight.
Yeah. They're just wrangling these bad guys for the cops. No big deal. And they don't deserve to be murderers.
No.
right?
But also, Kino's kind of an idiot here because he's just delivering a pizza. Then he like sees a van full of like
And he wants to go
TVs and stuff.
do something about
He
it. Yeah.
goes down there and literally says, "Hey, you're under arrest."
Oh no, he's really dumb. I don't like that. I don't like him as a character very much.
But he does kind of surprise you when he starts beating him up.
Oh yeah, no, he's trains in martial arts.
Yeah. I think the guy that plays him is actually a stuntman or a stunt guy.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think he played one of the turtles actually. Or was a stunt person for one of the turtles.
We might have to look that up because I'm not sure if that's true.
I'm not sure either, but
yeah, there's a lot of really funny things going on in this too. Like there's a lot of like bits for children, but me as an adult, I found myself laughing. Like I thought it was funny that Donatello gets distracted by those inflatable clowns that like stay like secured on the floor and they just kind of like wade back and forth. And then so he pretends to be one and then he to like punch one of
uses it to beat
the bad guys. Yeah.
When Mikey grabs the
sausage links and uses them as nunchucks.
Yeah.
I like all that stuff. I thought it was pretty funny. Their quips are, I thought, at this point in the movie, still on point with the last movie. The humor.
Right.
Donatello walks in. They're still workshopping fun things to say, and he says, eclectic. And they're like, eclectic?
Yeah.
What? No. And he's like, whatever.
And then it kind of becomes a thing where like Donatello is really not funny.
Yeah, but he has a very good sense of humor. He just doesn't. He's not a funny guy.
He's too awkward.
He's too nerdy and awkward for sure. I like that they just walk in the front door. It's not very ninja stealthy, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like in the last movie where they mostly fight in the shadows. Like all the bad guys are making perfect eye contact with all of them.
They
you know?
clearly see these turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still a good time. I did like the triple take that Kino does. He's like, okay, oh, there's someone here. They're what? April arrives home to be pestered by her downstairs neighbors for being too loud with her aerobics. She picks up after the boys, and they arrive through the window. Splinter comes downstairs, and him and the team provide some exposition to summarize the last movie. As Leo and Raph start a fight, Splinter punishes them with 10 flips each. That's the aerobics. Like the guys are like, oh, you do a lot of aerobics.
Yeah, and it's like, you're kind of loud.
This movie is kind of strange in that it's set... we'll talk about that after this next paragraph. But it's set somewhere between like a day and like a month after the last movie.
Yeah. Enough for them to like, they still need to find a new place to live. So they're staying with April in the meantime. April's been recast, by the way.
Yes. She's played by Paige Turco now.
Yeah. Who goes on to play her in the next movie as well.
And it's fine. Like I liked, oh fuck, I already forgot her name.
I know who you're talking about. The actor that played April in the first one.
I liked her just fine. I like them both. They're fine. They both do a fine job. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And people get recasted and it's okay. But she walks in, they're like, "Oh, you're April O'Neil." Like, in case no one got it, like she's been recasted, right?
Because I was watching, I'm like, no, that's not.
Oh, like it took you a second.
Yeah, like that's not April.
I think I just knew. I'm like, well, this is the lady on screen. She's April. She also looks a little bit more like the cartoon, I think.
A little bit more, yeah.
Not that it matters. They kind of explained in the last movie they lost their home.
Because the Foot Clan knows that they lived there now.
Yeah, so they don't want to go back, so they've been staying with April ever since in her brand new apartment because her last one burned down.
And apparently they're very messy and kind of a hassle to live with.
The rat is the cleanest one. Also, Statue of Liberty is in a pass play. This is like a running gag in this movie that they're like play football with different things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's Leo or someone who's like, oh, Statue of Liberty play. And he throws like a long pass. Statue of Liberty play is not a pass play. You pretend to have thrown the ball, but you hide the ball behind your back. It's a trick play. So then another, like a running back, will come behind the quarterback, grab the ball, and then keep running. So everyone's looking downfield, but this guy, it's like a trick play.
Yeah.
Guess that doesn't matter. But to me, I was like, come on, guys.
I didn't notice.
I figured. A lot of the banter here I still like, too. Like, I think this movie is... A lot of the character stuff is still funny. You know, a lot of the humor that they're trying to do. Some of it falls flat. I won't lie. But I'm trying to think of like what my favorite jokes in this movie are. I think one of them is here. I should have written it down.
You can't remember it?
Oh, when they're looking for new homes. Or they're talking about finding a new place to live. And Donatello's reading the newspaper. And he goes, well, in this market, it's very hard to find subterranean real estate. Thought that was good. It's just the silly things that's just silly enough to be funny. You know, it's almost like a collection of dad jokes.
He's literally just being a smart ass, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Shredder's hand dramatically rises from the trash heap. The foot soldiers who haven't been arrested meet at the junkyard, which was their fallback location. Tatsu arrives to announce that he is the new leader and invites any challenger to his authority. Shredder then shows up to challenge, leaving everyone in shock. Tatsu asks if they will now rebuild the foot, and Shredder says instead to pursue April, who will lead them to the turtles for revenge.
I have a problem with Shredder surviving.
Is it the guy who's like, oh my god, his face? Because Shredder should have murdered him on the spot.
He should have. Yeah, your face. But did they not make it a point to show that Casey Jones turned on the compactor in the garbage truck?
Yeah, and they even recapped the entire last movie in that first scene that we just talked about. And Raphael pretends to be Shredder, and he's like hanging out the window.
Yeah.
And he fell, and he says he fell into a trash truck. But you see his helmet, and his helmet's crushed, because we saw his helmet get crushed. But I guess he was fine.
Somehow he didn't get crushed by the trash compactor that crushes everything inside of the bin.
He got cut up real bad, though.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a little...
He somehow survived that.
So, when is this movie set? Because he is emerging from the trash heap, presumably no more than a day. Yeah. But then April had time to get a new apartment, buy a bunch of new stuff. They seem to have been living there for a while because she's used to cleaning up after them.
Let's say it was a week.
I feel like this is one of those movies where you can't take the time literally. April and the boys at the apartment, that might have been like a month later. Whereas you're doing a little mini flashback to Shredder emerging from the trash heap and then meeting up with...
I guess.
And then time passes again, and I don't know. It's one of those, like, we're talking about Batman versus Superman, where they go forward in time and they go back in time, and it's just an editing thing. And, Batman's in two places at once. And...
Yeah, it's... Don't think too hard about the timeline of this movie.
Yeah, so there's a new actor for Shredder. Did you notice?
Not really, because his face is almost completely covered.
His face is covered the entire time. His face was covered most of the last movie.
Right.
And you really just see his eyes.
Yeah, so you don't really notice that it's a new actor in this case.
You don't see his face at all in this movie.
No.
He never takes his mask off. And he's voice-overed by the same guy. So it would be fairly difficult to be able to tell,
that it's
pick
a
them
different
apart.
actor.
Yeah. This actor, similar to the last actor, also speaks English. So I still questioning, why are you whitewashing? Because the voice actor's white. He's putting on his Asian accent.
Right.
And then I guess in this point, I guess a continuity thing, like
at least have a little bit of it.
Yeah. Use the same actor that you used before.
Well, at least that way you don't notice it's a different person.
I guess. And then Tatsu is also voice-overed. But you see his mouth. And if you pay any attention to his mouth, it never lines up with his words. So the guy who plays Tatsu, I looked up. I should have his name on hand. But he's like an actual martial artist.
Yeah, I feel like every time Tatsu's on the screen, though, he's just throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, pretty much. April interviews a scientist for TGRI, Professor Perry, who is cleaning up their own toxic waste. Some other researchers are seen panicking when they find overgrown dandelions in the containment area. Freddy, a new Channel 3 employee, snoops around and finds the overgrown dandelions and takes one with him. Freddy reports to Shredder, revealed to be an undercover foot soldier.
So the foot is still using teenagers in New York, or young people.
Well, that man looked 30. Maybe
young
40.
People.
Yeah, he didn't look too young.
He looked like he was playing a young person. In the same way that
I think he's like an intern or something.
That the high schoolers in Spider-Man look like high schoolers.
Yeah. So this character, Professor Perry, is played by...
Not Vanilla Ice.
No, I'm not there yet. David Warner. Yeah, back at April's, the turtles are cleaning the house. Splinter invites them to the roof to reveal the results of his meditation. He shows them the broken canister that housed the ooze that mutated them all 15 years ago. The canister is labeled TGRI, the company that April was investigating. It seems like life was really hard before Google was a thing.
Well, yeah, because you couldn't just hop on the internet and find something.
Look something up. Because they see TGRI on the news because they like watching April on TV.
And then Splinter's like, oh, shit.
Right. These 4 letters that meant nothing to him up until now finally are like, and he has to piece everything together.
Yeah.
But So in the comic, it wasn't TGRI, it was TCRI, and then the C, it was like research, Techno Cosmic Research Institute, whereas in this is Techno.
Global Research Industries.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Turtlepedia.
So it's just a way of making this like, hey, we're not doing aliens, but also,
why not?
Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, why? That's such an inconsequential detail to be like, all right, this is where we draw the line. Is fucking aliens.
Mutant turtles are fine though.
Yeah. So yeah, and they're on the rooftop, and he's kind of like telling them more about, on a philosophical level, like your past is, found you.
Yeah.
So now we have to do something about it. I don't know what he was really getting at.
It seemed like he was content to just ignore it before.
Seriously. Again, Google wasn't around. He had to wait for this to land on his lap.
Yeah, he kept it, the canister.
Also, like, phone books and libraries are a thing, and public records.
Yeah,
And
there were still databases.
Yeah, he could probably figure something out.
Not as easily accessible.
At TGRI Lab, Professor Perry works to dispose the last of the collected waste. The turtles, because it seems he's kind of responsible because he knows that this shit is bad. So he wants to dispose of it properly. The turtles arrive. No one wants enormous dandelions. Or do they? The turtles arrive to the building and stealthily reach the lab to find it empty. Donatello sees the computer and deduces that all the canisters had been disposed except one. As Donnie tries to hack the files, the Foot ambushed them. Tatsu shows off the last canister. Instead of just leaving or hiding it, he just holds it out and he's like, hey, look what I got.
Almost like he's taunting them.
Yeah. The turtles very quickly knock it out of his hand, and they start fighting foot soldiers while passing it around. It gets knocked back to Tatsu, who throws a smoke bomb, and the Foot vanish. See, that's what he should have done in the very first place, right?
Yeah.
Back at their hideout, Shredder inquires what it can do to a kidnapped Professor Perry.
This fight scene is where I start having problems with the movie.
Yeah. The only person who uses, or the only turtle, that uses their weapons is Donatello.
Because it's
I
guess not a lethal weapon.
It's the least
You can still kill someone with a bow staff.
I mean, obviously, but it's the least problematic of all the weapons, right? Because even the nunchucks, like we said last week, were illegal in a lot of countries.
Nunchucks are also very dangerous.
Yeah. But because of Bruce Lee movies, they were kind of made illegal. They were banned in a lot of places.
People tried to imitate it.
Yeah, apparently, Michelangelo doesn't use his nunchucks not once in this movie. April O'Neil uses hers for a second.
Very poorly,
pretending to be the owner of those nunchucks. But the scene earlier where he's using the sausage links as nunchucks, that's the only time he uses them. And he's still proficient with the nunchucks, even when they're sausage links. That got cut out from the UK release because they're banned over there.
Oh.
Isn't that extreme?
That's a little extreme.
Anyway, so like I was saying, only Donatello uses his signature weapon at all,
and that's why the bad guys got away, because
pretty much Leo ends up fighting with two smaller bow staffs that I think he stole from the Foot because they were using smaller ones.
Were they even bow staffs, or were they more like just like batons?
I guess they're more like batons. They were, bow staff is like 6 feet long or whatever.
It seemed like he just had like batons.
Yeah,
and
just two sticks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what the Foot was using. So instead of pulling out his swords, he just picks up these weapons. Meanwhile, the other two turtles don't use their weapons at all, Raphael and Michelangelo.
No,
they mostly just like ride on chairs and shit. And I like that they're still having fun even when they're fighting the Foot, but like now's the time for your weapons.
This was a pretty serious moment though.
And we had another scene in the last movie where they fought the Foot with their weapons, but they didn't use them lethally because they're better than that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a line you should be following. Is
instead of just slicing everybody up.
No, it's saying like these turtles are skilled enough to use the weapons without hurting people. That's the kind of people that they are.
Yeah.
Not lethally. Like earlier, we did see Raphael holding his sais in the defensive position, which is backwards to protect your forearms.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
He
was still just attacking with like regular martial arts.
I think he was clubbing
moves.
with them too. He was like punching with the handle, which is how you club with the sai.
Do you do that while you're in the defensive position?
Yeah, actually.
What's to stop you from accidentally stabbing your forearm though?
Skills, I guess.
Okay.
I actually went in a whole YouTube hole before the last episode on how to use a sai. It's very interesting. First of all, they're very versatile. They're offensive and defensive, and I know this because every time I see a movie, they're always like, "Oh no, the sais are very offensive weapons, like an Electra." That's not true. If you hold them backwards, You line them up with your forearms, and then you can block all sorts of things with your forearms,
including other
including
weapons.
like swords. Yeah, which makes them very
Useful.
Like you can block, and then with the other one you can flip around and stab.
Okay.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I can see how that works too.
Yeah,
But
probably
again,
my
there has to be
favorite
a lot
weapon.
of skill to make sure you don't stab yourself by mistake.
Sure, of course. Anyway, so as silly as the scene is, I really like that Donatello is doing some tech stuff.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the smart one.
Well, that's his thing. So
Yeah, but in the last movie, he didn't get to do a whole lot except for like fix the truck.
yeah,
With Casey.
with Casey, and they bonded.
Yeah, so at least in this one, he's like hacking into a computer. I don't know how they type because their fingers are like the size of like.
It seemed like he was doing a lot of typing for only like a
Sausages,
few
yeah.
characters.
Yeah, but at least he's working with computers.
Yeah.
So I like that bit.
He also fails at his hack though. So.
He did say there's a chance the whole system's going to crash. I don't know how true that would be, but also, and to be clear, this is supposed to be the last canister of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. The turtles pack their things to move out of April's apartment and argue about what their next move should be, but are interrupted by an unsolicited pizza delivery. Kino lets himself inside with an extra pizza. His suspicions are confirmed when he finds the turtles. Splinter tells him their origin story, and Kino offers to join the Foot as a spy, but Splinter refuses.
So whereas in the first movie, the turtles are pretty good with like this is the same gag as the first movie where they hide,
But not as good.
they get caught like almost immediately.
They don't hide very well in this one either, because one is hiding behind like the kitchen island, one is hiding behind the couch. Raphael hides behind those like little like dividers you would see a lot of times in like dressing
his
rooms.
feet are still visible.
They're not only visible, they're extended. Like he has his foot literally on the other side of the divider.
Yeah. And Mikey leaves his nunchucks that he doesn't use
Yeah.
on the kitchen island.
So in the last movie, a lot of it is like movie editing.
Right.
It's like, okay, the camera turns around, they're no longer there. Leads you to believe that they're very fast and nimble, even though it's obviously just a camera trick. But later on, we see them and they're like, one is like hanging from the rooftop, from like the ceiling. Another is, I forget where they went. But the point is that they
One's
seem
in the
better at it.
in the
Yeah.
shower.
Yeah, but they seem better at it back
Yeah.
in that movie. You don't have to put this on camera. You don't have to put them like actually hiding. You can lie. This whole, this is fiction. You can pretend that they're good at hiding, that they're good ninjas when they're actually just men in suits. You know what I mean?
I think the plot demanded them to like get caught this time though, and
I understand. But it just doesn't seem like they tried very hard.
no. I like how Kino just uses the pizza as an excuse to walk into her apartment
If you did that today,
and just start snooping around.
you're going to get maced in the face.
Yeah.
Do not do that. Especially like a single woman's apartment in New York City. You don't just like let yourself
But
in.
he like lets himself in and just like ignores her basically, and just starts looking around. He's like, "Oh yeah, pizza for you. What do you got over here?"
I love that he's like, 'cause you order so much of this. Like, what's one more?
While there's already like 8 boxes of pizza just sitting on the table.
Yeah. I really like that they have to do flips as a punishment.
Yeah.
Instead of like running a lap, they have to do like backflips.
Like 10 backflips. Yeah.
It carries back to the last movie where the physicality of these stunt actors in the suits is really, really good. And they put it on camera.
Yeah.
They're not shy about it. And you see these actors do like backflip after backflip. No camera tricks. It's all like,
like you literally see them do
frame.
it.
Yeah, exactly. That's still impressive, I think. But I love the part where Mikey's given flips to do as a punishment. And then like later on, he's caught just jumping up and down, hoping that no one's looking at him. There's still some really good gags on this.
A lot of them involve Mikey too.
Obviously, yeah. The turtles leave April in search for a new home and go back underground. Michelangelo trying out his best Casablanca impression as a goodbye. Raphael complains this isn't the time to find a new place to live and leaves. Just as Mikey conveniently falls through a manhole to discover an abandoned subway station. They call April looking for Raphael.
Basically just find a new home, and they're pissed at Raphael like always.
Yeah. This movie seems a little bit more contrived in Raphael's fights with Leo. Like, they want them to butt heads, but the reasoning for them doing so isn't as clever.
No.
Not like the last one. At least the last one seemed... This is a natural thing that these characters would be doing, is like getting in these arguments the way that they do. Whereas in this one, at one point, Splinter tells them something, and Leo is just kind of like pushes everyone over so that he can bow and be like, Yes, Master Splinter.
Kiss ass.
Yeah. He just comes off. It doesn't seem natural at all. Just so that Raphael then can make fun of him for being such a kiss ass, and then they get into an argument.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very contrived, I feel. But in this case, I'm kind of with Raphael. Now's not the time to be like, all right, we got to find a new place to live.
Like, no, we got to solve this problem that we're having with the foot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and earlier in the movie, they said like, oh, we should go back to our home because we know the foot's gone now.
Clearly, they're not.
And then you've just been shown that Tattoo's back, the whole foot's back.
They took this ooze that is important.
Yeah, that made you.
It's dangerous.
Right. Yeah. This is a big deal. And they're like, all right, well, we told April we were moving out.
We told April we were going to move out, so we'll just do that
I agree.
first.
This is a waste of time. This is not a good plot for this movie. So that's all I'm saying. Shredder has Tatsu collect the most vicious animals he can find. A wolf and a snapping turtle. And Professor Perry warns about the dangers of mutating them. Later, Shredder opens the animals' cages to reveal they have grown full-sized. They immediately imprint on Shredder, calling him Mama, and shower him with hugs and kisses. Disappointed with their infantile state, Shredder insists on killing them, but Professor Perry convinces them that he shouldn't, but can utilize them for their super strength.
So, they're babies. They call Shredder Mama, and Shredder's like, all right, kill him.
Yeah. One of my favorite gags. I love that Professor Perry's like, what did you expect? That they'd come out quoting Macbeth? Like, also, it works within the logic of this universe where the turtles are teenagers because they mutated 15 years ago.
Right.
So, what did you expect that these things would be like at that level?
They need time to learn things.
Yeah, exactly. But holy shit, like, the way this film treats Shredder just is a slap in the face of the last movie, I think.
Yeah.
Where he was a very imposing, well-written villain that was scary. We compared him to Darth Vader in that movie.
Yeah.
And in this, he's kind of bumbling.
He's a bumbling idiot that just wants to kill things.
He just wants to kill the turtles. That's all he cares about. And I understand, like, the revenge bit, but at one point, they're hugging him and, like, so names are Toka and Razar.
Toka and Razar. Okay.
And at one point, Razar, like, literally gives him a kiss on the cheek. God, like, what's going on here? Like, what's the thinking? And these creatures, Toka and Razar, the snapping turtle, and the wolf, are supposed to be Bebop and Rocksteady.
Why didn't they just use Bebop and Rocksteady?
Apparently, Peter Laird didn't want them to, and so they came up with these two original characters. And also, there was some legal issues about, I don't know how these things work. Yeah, about using them.
Huh.
I found different things.
Because it's weird that this movie had to make original characters to fill those roles. And meanwhile, like, the reboot actually used Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't a problem at that point, I guess. I don't know. Also, like, Nickelodeon now owns outright.
Like, they just
Ninja
outright
Turtles.
own. Okay,
yeah,
so
they own the
there
entire
wouldn't
IP.
be any legal issues with any characters
Whereas
involved.
back then, it was a whole licensing thing where, you know, Laird and Eastman still owned the characters, and so it's their say. And then the Mirage Comics has the you know what I mean? And then there's too many hands involved in this. And also, Bebop and Rocksteady were introduced for the cartoon, so maybe they belong to the cartoon more.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more complicated, but so they made Toka and Razar. Wow.
And they're really goofy looking.
So I like Toka. I think he looks good because he's a turtle, and so he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
like an uglier version of the Ninja Turtles, basically.
Razar looks like shit.
Yeah.
He looks. You know what he looks like?
He doesn't look like a wolf.
No, and his face doesn't move very much. It's just kind of like plastered in place.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a Disney character suit for like the parks of like a cartoon character. He looks like if you went to Disney and met like the big bad wolf,
and it's just like walking around
or the beast
waving and stuff.
Yeah, and he just has kind of one face that's almost gruesome, but in a very cartoony way.
But it's clearly meant for like photos and not video. Yeah,
because his mouth barely moves. It's just really his eyes that move, and that's it. Doesn't look good at all. Toka, again, I think looks fine, but not to mention later we see them back in their animal forms, and he's not a wolf. That's just a dog.
It's a very cute puppy.
It's a very cute dog. Kind of looks like Kaya. Could be like a husky shepherd mix or something like that. Like that's what it looks like. You know, also they've been featured in like the cartoons.
They brought them.
Yeah, not as like recurring characters, as like one time, like each time basically.
they're not very good characters.
Nah, it's just like it's more like an Easter egg. Like, hey, remember that movie?
And for people that really love this movie, I'm sure that's like really cool for them to see.
People that really love this movie. Okay. Kino joins the Foot, followed by Raphael, who witnesses Kino's audition fight. For his last test, he's told to remove as many bells from a mannequin as possible in silence and in smoke. Raphael jumps in to do it for him and disappears as the smoke clears. Kino is holding every bell. Having been inducted into their hideout, Raph tries to sneak Kino out, but is distracted by a silhouette of Shredder and is caught by Tatsu. He fights off as many foot as he can, but is captured. Kino crosses the Brooklyn Bridge to alert the turtles Raphael has been caught.
I didn't have too many issues with this whole sequence.
I do. Raphael is just like bumbling around. He's bopping around. He's not being stealthy at all.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like, as far as like their plan and what they were doing, I didn't have an issue with. Like, you know, Raphael going off on his own and using Kino to like infiltrate the Foot. That part was fine.
Oh, no, Raphael is correct. Remember, he was like, because Kino offered to join the Foot because
and everyone was like, no,
he's a young man with martial arts experience. They'll take him in a flash, right? And yeah, Splinter's like, you can't do that. But Raphael's like, yeah, put this kid in danger. Why not? It's a great idea.
Let's do it.
I'm siding with Raphael. It's a good idea.
And that's actually pretty in line with his character.
Yeah, and he's doing the more responsible thing. He's like, all right, here's the plan. We're going to get you in there, and as soon as we know where the hideout's at, you're out of there. You're not going to be a spy anymore.
The plan was good. You're right, though. They didn't have him being stealthy at all, though. He's just kind of running around.
He's kind of just like waving at him behind a car. He's like, hey, I'm here.
Like an NPC from like a video game or something. It's like, hey.
It's like Mary Jane in the Spider-Man video game where she's barely hiding. Just kind of crouched over.
Yeah.
And the game is very generous in you not getting caught. Because sometimes you're right in front of a guy and he's like, what? I do love the bells bit. Because it goes back to the first movie, I think, where it's like, hey, use editing and use like, you know, filmmaking techniques here to show how good of ninjas these turtles are.
Yeah.
Puff of smoke, Raphael runs out. He does all the bells.
That part was good.
And he runs out. Obviously, it's a camera thing. Like,
right.
He doesn't have to do the stunt. But you, the viewer, go, oh, yeah, they're good ninjas. And it's maybe one of the only times that they prove that they're good ninjas.
Yeah.
You know
and also, Raphael did not need to follow them to the hideout because wasn't Kino going to go report to them anyway where the hideout was?
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah. Wrote down. Does Raphael need to be there?
Like I said, the plan is good. The execution, not so much.
Maybe he just wants to make sure he's safe.
But they're like, if they're recruiting someone, they're not going to be like, oh, welcome to the Foot. Now we're going to kill you. Like, what do you think was going to happen?
I guess that's true. But also, he gets caught very, very easily, and I do like that.
It's because he's not hiding.
Right, and there's a little bit of story explanation where he got distracted because he saw Shredder, a man he thought was dead,
and I guess that's like can be an excuse.
But then Tatsu just finds him, and I'm like, oh, that's where we're going with this. Like, it didn't last that long.
It didn't lead to anything either.
I think Kino crossing the Brooklyn Bridge was just to show off that they're filming this one on location. Yeah. Instead of like having some establishing shots and then filming it in a studio like the last one. This is a much bigger budget, by the way.
But the thing is, it doesn't feel like it's a bigger budget.
It feels about the same, if I'm honest. It's a little over twice as much. No, it's twice as much. 25 million.
Jesus Christ.
Made a lot less, though.
Made profit.
No, it made good. But
it still did well.
It didn't do as good as the first one.
No. Well, that's what happens when you rush something out.
Well, that's the other thing is like saturation. You know, if you see the first Turtles movie and then the second one comes out a year later, maybe you're not wanting it as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
it kind of feels like horror movies where they'll make one every
single year. Yeah.
And by Paranormal Activity 5, you're like,
who cares anymore?
What happened? Like, I just saw 3 like last month. I feel, you know.
I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, it's the other day. Yeah. No, but you know, you see my point. Like, it's just too close together. Like, you got to space these out. You got to let the audience want it.
Yeah, I don't think yearly releases for anything is a good idea. I think that's a mistake that like Lucasfilm made with the Star Wars. Like, oh, let's release one every year. It's like, maybe don't. I like that they did something different. Like, it was like, okay, here's a main episode movie and then like a side story.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's what Marvel does.
Right.
You know?
But
Marvel's not releasing Captain America 1, 2, 3 back to back to back. They're throwing, they're doing different things.
But you do have to create some sort of hype for it though. Not like, oh yeah, there's another one coming right now, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's with Marvel, it's a little different because it's like an ongoing story, and every movie's like another piece of it.
They could have done the same with Star Wars. They just sort of didn't want to, and now they're transitioning to a lot of TV shows at once, which is,
I'm cool with.
I think it's better. I think Star Wars might even work better as TV.
you can tell better stories through a show than a movie, I feel like.
Anyway,
Brooklyn
Bridge. I think it's funny that this movie makes fun of its over exposition by adding more exposition. So there's a shot where Raphael reiterates the plan to Kino, and this is classic movie trope.
And he's like, oh yeah, let me write that down.
Yeah. He's like, do you want me to write this down? And like runs off. Like obviously he knows what the plan is and he's making light of that. But it's like this is such a movie thing where they have to reiterate their plan to each other because really they're talking to the audience, right?
Right. This was their way of telling us the plan.
Yeah. But also we would have known.
It was a nice little meta moment though.
But, yeah, the meta jokes are funny. But you kind of didn't need to do that because
no, that scene didn't need to be
we could have figured it out.
But the movie's already too short. So.
That is true. Okay, so there's a bit where good filmmaking, you don't have to hold the audience's hand that much. Kino runs, crosses the bridge. Yeah. First of all, take the subway or something. He runs all the way to like downtown Manhattan.
He did not have to run across
from Brooklyn. Yeah, he runs probably like 2 miles.
That's quite a run.
Yeah, he gets to April's apartment. He's like, I gotta find the turtles. And then the next scene, we see the turtles going to the hideout.
Right.
You don't literally need to tell the audience or show them, hey, like I found the hideout. We got to go now. Right. All right, let's get going. Let's get all our stuff.
It's implied that it happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could have created at least like some tension with it. Like, hey, Raphael's in trouble or something, and maybe get like a nice reaction out of Leo.
That's actually, yeah, you're right.
That would have been nice.
That's true. Because a lot of the last movie is set around this bit where Leo was yelling at Raph. And that's why he went off and got caught. And so Leonardo feels guilty for like
which
the
happens
whole
in a lot
second
of
act
Turtles
of the movie.
Stories, actually.
Sure, but that's the entire second act of the movie, right? When they're in the farmhouse.
Right.
You're right. Like they could have worked in something meaningful, and they chose not to, or maybe they didn't think about it. But it is a good another opportunity to make me feel guilty because earlier he was angry at Raph, and he's on the phone. And he's like, "Tell him we don't need him," or no, we were wasting our time because now we got to go find him first. Before we go and find the foot, you know?
There's not that much brotherhood in this movie.
Well, okay, so like even there was room to do some of that stuff if you had worked in some of those elements. Like they argue, now maybe they feel some remorse that they split up. They could have injected some more human things in
by
this.
Putting like just that one scene, like I said, like have something where we get a reaction out of them that their brother's in trouble.
It seems very inconsequential that Raphael's been caught, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, fine, we'll just help him.
I guess
when
we'll
we
go get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 remaining turtles sneak into the junkyard and suspect they are being let in. They get caught in a rope trap and craned over some spikes. Splinter shoots an arrow to save them. Shredder releases Toka and Razar. The fight is short-lived, and it's mostly one of them throwing Donatello into the building where he saves the professor. They all escape through a manhole. So this is more of the problematic nature of this film where they want to have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fighting, but they can't.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no significant choreography between Toka and Razar and the Turtles.
No, it's just them running away from them because they're like, oh, God, they're big.
And then one of them picks them up and throws them across the room. That happens like 4 times in this.
Yeah, pick them up and throw them like, oh, hey, the professor's here. Let's go.
Yeah. My favorite gag in the whole movie is here where they're walking in. They beat up 2 guards really easily. And they're like, this is easy. It's too easy. And then someone goes, oh, there's Raphael. And Michelangelo goes, yeah, to Raphael. It's just funny. Like, that's a good gag.
And then Donatello's like, based on the layout of this whole area, if they were going to place a trap, it'd be right. And then he triggers the trap.
Yeah. That's good. I like all that stuff. I like the turtles being funny.
It's a little hokey, but like I do like it.
I like the turtles having a good time. I like them being funny. And those kinds of gags are fun.
And when they go to save Raph and they rip the tape off his mouth, like, were you trying to rip off my lip with that?
And he just puts it back on. Those are good gags. That's good.
Right back on
that's good Ninja Turtling. Okay, that's what I want more of. And it's why I have a problem hating this film, by the way. It's because
It has a lot of good stuff.
there's some
in it.
good things in here. But the plot and whatever. What is Shredder's plan here? Because he caught them, and he's like,
wasn't he just gonna like kill him with the machine?
But why doesn't he just kill them? He's like, I'm gonna release you on this pit of spikes because I'm a weird Bond villain, right? What? And then Splinter shows up to save the day at this junkyard. By the way, worst set
with
in
his
the world.
archery skills.
Yeah, which I thought was fucking awesome. That is fantastic. That you've got. It almost felt. I almost thought for a second I was watching. And I remember thinking this as a kid. I almost thought I was watching live action Robin Hood because he kind of, rat and the fox with the. It's close enough, and he's holding the bow and arrow. But anyway, here's them using a weapon. Like a cool feudal Japan thing. Like, here's a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. He just leaves.
He saves his sons, and then he saves them from like this death, but like just leaves them to fight.
But then later in the movie, he explains to Kino why he doesn't go out and fight, because he's old and he's frail, and his thing is wisdom.
Yeah, he destroyed Shredder in the end of the first movie.
But he went out to save the turtles, not knowing they needed to be saved in this case.
Right.
But in the next case, he stays in. It's inconsistent, but more so, he shows up, he's got his bow and arrow, coolest thing in the fucking movie, right? He like saves them with the bow and arrow, and then why not just start using the bow and arrow? Why not kill Shredder? Or do something. Do something else with the bow and arrow. You've got the best vantage point
because
here.
He's not allowed to shoot people.
I understand, but he has the best tactical advantage out of anybody there.
Yeah.
None of them have projectile weapons. Not one. There's not a gun in sight, right? He's got the bow and arrow, and he's on top of everybody. And he's just like, all right,
you're absolutely right.
I'll just leave them all to die if that's what's going to happen now. Because they escape on their own. Doesn't help them escape either. So what's he doing? What's Shredder doing? What are any of their plans here?
Yeah.
So again, the fight is mostly, as a sequel to a movie that had great fight choreography, that felt like we're watching like a kung fu movie with fucking turtles, right? Like, it's awesome. It's still somewhat there. The actors are doing stunts. They do flips, they do kicks.
And they do a good job.
Yeah, and every now and then, they're doing a backflip and they're kicking a fucking foot soldier in the face, and that's all fantastic. But then, like, when it counts, like in the big meaningful fights, they're not doing any of that, right? That's kind of where I'm drawing the line for the action in this movie, and we'll get into that, but yeah, so they escape through a manhole. And Toka, the snapping turtle, tries to go after them, but he's too big, and he gets stuck, and he cries. And he throws a temper tantrum.
I do like as much as I don't really care about those two characters, I do like how they ran with the fact that, hey, these are babies.
Yeah, they give him an identity, they give him a personality, and you're right, they did run with it. And that's fine with me. It's just, one of them looks really bad. And they're embarrassing to Shredder. Just robs him of his dignity and his, I don't know. It's just,
Shredder should have stayed dead.
Seriously. Okay. At their new subway home, Professor Perry. Oh yeah, they say Perry. We said that.
Yeah.
Professor Perry explains the ooze they found was an accidental mixture of several radioactive waste products, and that the results were unpredicted. Donatello is disappointed that their origins are mere accidents, but Splinter tells him not to confuse the circumstances of their creation with their present worth.
I got Pokemon the movie vibes from this.
Really?
Where Mewtwo's just wondering about the circumstances of his birth.
Oh, yeah. That is true. I forgot about that part.
But yeah,
did you watch the remake of that?
The weird Netflix 3D remake?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Oh, you watched it?
I watched it back when it came out.
Oh, okay.
It's inferior to the original, I'd say.
Really?
Oh. I honestly think so.
Have you seen the other versions of that first movie?
I know there was another version. I haven't seen it.
The American version got kind of redid when it got here. They added CGI and they changed some of the plot points.
I think they made it a little bit more kid friendly too.
I think so, and I think it made less sense. I don't remember why. We'll get into it when we're done. But I remember that. I remember hearing that whatever they did created a big plot hole. And I guess we were fine with it. I saw that movie 1,000 times, so I kind of
the movie
I
makes
don't remember
enough sense to me.
Yeah, but I think the Japanese one made more. Is what I'm saying.
It probably did.
Anyway, for a second, I thought Professor Perry was going to say that he was the employee who dropped the ooze in the first place. And I was like, wait, are you Daredevil?
they started to allude to that, but then he goes, "Oh yeah, it was some sort of accident."
Yeah, he was like, some fuckface, not me, was very irresponsible in how he carried it.
So Daredevil could still exist in this universe.
Right. So there's almost a theme here, almost.
Yes, this almost got deep,
but then they didn't really. It's only like less. It's less than 5 minutes long. For a sequel to a movie that was so thematic heavy, right?
Yeah.
This has like almost none. There's no point, like there's no lesson learned here, you know, and it's close because they started to here where Donatello is upset that, like, you know, is his life meaningless? Is he just an accident?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then Splinter's like, how you were made doesn't matter. What matters is like what you're doing with your life now.
Exactly. That's almost something.
Yeah.
Why not run with that? Like, that should be the theme of this movie.
I feel like there almost was another movie here where that was kind of the central plot point, and they just didn't do that.
It's like the last movie, they said, what are the themes we want to do here? And it's about fatherhood, it's about brotherhood, it's about family, and we're going to create all these characters and all these situations to really exemplify that lesson, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a character who doesn't have a family or doesn't see family in his father, and so he turns to the foot for family, but that's a cult, blah, blah, blah. We talked about this. My point is, that movie was clearly engineered with that theme in mind. The plot came second, right?
Yeah.
Where this, I don't know what the plan was, but this seems like an afterthought, right? Yeah. Like, it seems like they just were
this could have been a movie based on, like, the theme could have been based upon, like, self-worth or
exactly. Like, it almost seems like they had this plot that they came up with first, and then some writer's like, hey, here's something interesting. What should we do with this? 2-minute scene. That's all you get. You know?
So, something about this kind of feels like studio interference.
Yeah, absolutely. You joking? Of course it does.
Like, the writers wanted this to be the movie, and then we just didn't get that. Instead, we just get like a little tease of it.
Yeah, writers being writers, like, they know what they want to do. Like,
yeah.
Shredder releases Toka and Razar onto New York City to wreak havoc and bring out the Turtles. A pair of New Yorkers see them and say they can get their own cab.
Again, we go to New Yorkers just not caring about the weird shit going on.
Exactly. Not as good as, like, sort of looks like a turtle in a trench coat. You going to LaGuardia? That's the best. It doesn't get better than that. April tries to tell the chief of police that there are 2 creatures responsible for the destruction, but without hard evidence, he won't do anything about it, saying, that's what we do best. I like that they brought back the same actor for the chief of police. That was featured a lot more.
The corrupt-ass chief of police from like the first movie.
Yeah, he's more lazy. He seems well-meaning, but kind of corrupt and more kind of like...
Hey, I have your son. If you want me to release him...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the blackmail. In this movie's defense, they do write in 2 different reasons as to why the police wouldn't be involved. Because there's so many times in a movie where I'm like, call the police. Where's the police? Like, why haven't you called the police? You got a killer behind you or whatever.
Yeah, to be fair, like, what would you tell the police in this event? Like,
well, I mean, here they told him, like, hey, they're mutated animals.
And the police are like, okay.
Yeah. But my favorite part is at the end where she's like, all right, so what are you going to do about it? And he's like, nothing. It's what we do best. Like, he's proud of the fact that the cops aren't good for anything, basically.
I thought NYPD was supposed to be, like, the best.
What?
New York's finest.
They released Toka and Razar to an empty street in Manhattan, in, like, lower Manhattan. No. And yeah, there are those 2 people, but, like,
is the street going to be empty?
It's, like, really empty there.
It's too empty.
Bullshit. Yeah.
It's too Raphael.
Too Raphael. A little too Raphael. April realizes Freddy is missing and is abducted by him in the foot. He reveals himself and delivers a message from Shredder. April relays to the Turtles that Shredder will release Toka and Razar onto Central Park if the Turtles don't meet him for a final battle. Professor Perry does some experimentation to cook up an antidote for Toka and Razar, revealing that he stumbled on the formula while he was making the creatures intellectually inferior by design.
Ah.
For it to work, the Turtles will need to feed it to them. There's like 3 plot holes here. Professor Perry got an idea out of his asshole what he's making. Right? The implication here that he said is that he made the formula for Toka and Razar specifically so that they wouldn't be smart. as a way to just kind of like sabotage Shredder's plans. Right. But
make him the good guy.
he doesn't even know that this shit works, first of all he knows is that flowers grow into bigger flowers. That's literally all he knows about this stuff. So how? And when he meets the turtles, which is after the fact, he's astonished at how smart the turtles are, right? Remember, he's like, you guys can talk, you're smart.
He's amazed.
Yeah. So
he didn't know that his stuff could mutate to that extent.
So intellectually inferior to what exactly? You know what I mean? To the animals that they already are? Okay. So they're as smart as a napping turtle and a wolf? Well, they can sort of talk. They say mama pretty good.
Yeah, very quickly, too. So, they're already smarter than human infants.
That doesn't make any sense. Second, while he's creating this formula, he also knows how to make an antidote for it. I mean, I guess that part is whatever. There's no hard evidence against it, but it's still.
It's a stretch. I
still really enjoy the part where they're making the antidote. That's all a really fun bit. There's like Bunsen burners everywhere. There's beakers and graduated cylinders, and everything's smoking. I like Professor Perry's character, honestly.
He's got a nice voice too.
Yeah, the actor's great. I like that he is like he's a smart one, right?
Right.
There's some humor there for adults. The part where they're mixing the antidote, but they're all eating pizza, and Michelangelo drops a slice of pizza into the antidote, and Donatello and him are like, "Oh fuck! Like don't tell him, don't tell him." They're just playing it off.
Don't tell him.
That's a good gag. I like that gag a lot.
Just them being their goofy selves.
Yeah, some of that stuff really works. Like I said.
And then this next scene that we're going to talk about is the part that I vividly remember from my childhood.
Okay, that's fun. At the construction site, it's the place where they told them to meet.
Yeah.
The turtles arrive with a box of donuts. They call out for Shredder, and the Foot appears as spectators as Taka and Razar are released. Leonardo yells for them to stop and insists on the traditional donut ceremony. Very turtles. All this stuff still works for me.
Yeah.
He and Mikey convince the monsters to eat their yum-yums. They eat a few before realizing there are capsules inside them, and the fight begins.
All right.
But real quick, intellectually inferior, they figured that out pretty quick, that they were eating a trap.
Yeah.
They're smart, so fuck that. But what were you going to say?
So, like I said, I remembered watching this movie as a kid, but most of the movie up until this part, I don't really remember. But as soon as I saw the turtles walking into the construction site, holding the box of donuts, like something just clicked.
Nice.
I'm like, I remember this vividly now.
Like a memory unlocked.
Yes, and like I remember them trying to feed them the donuts. I remember the little capsules being inside the donuts. I remember as a kid wanting to eat those donuts.
The donuts look good. Even the capsule I thought looked like a strange candy.
Yeah, it looked like a little like foreign candy almost.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like a foreign candy.
But yeah, like from here on out, from here until the end of the movie, I just remember all of it.
I'm with you there. These are the memorable parts from like a child's perspective, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is intentional. It worked on us.
Yeah, whatever they were doing worked for us.
So, first of all, the Foot have multiplied throughout this film.
Yeah, like so many of them
exponentially, by the way.
More than in the first movie.
At the beginning, they make a point to say, "Oh my god, this is all that's left." And Tattoo's like, "Do we rebuild the Foot?" To which Shredder says, "No." Except 2 scenes later, there's like 100 of them, and now there's like 1,000 of them, right?
And when they were doing the recruitment,
and they do say they're recruiting, but still,
right? But when they were recruiting with Kino, they say that Kino was the only one that they were going to pick.
Exactly. So they're taking like 1 out of 30 people.
How many people are signing up to join? Like, this is a problem in the city.
A big gang problem here. So if I'm Shredder and I see the 4 turtles and one of them is holding a box of donuts, I'd be like right away, what the fuck is that?
Something's
what are you
not
doing?
right.
This is a trap. He allows them to stop the fight.
He just sits there and watches.
And just, as the turtles are literally feeding his warriors like food. Clearly, this is a trap.
Could have been poisoned.
Right. And for all intents and purposes, it is. It's the antidote to their, like, existence, basically. But so a short fight ensues, mostly them tossing the turtles around some more again.
Yeah, because the turtles can't fight.
Right. And Raph gets tossed into a door. I think it's Raphael. Raph gets tossed into a door that opens into an underground concert next door.
I love this part.
First of all, it was dead quiet a second ago. You cannot tell me that next door there's an underground concert going on.
It was like a club.
Well, there was a lot of, in fairness, there was a lot of like graffiti and stuff on the walls, and it was kind of like a dingy place. So that's why I'm saying it was an underground concert, where they would be like, all right, we're gonna have a concert at this random place. And it's kind of like you need a password.
And we're going to get a somewhat famous artist in here.
Yeah. But my point is this somewhat does happen.
Right.
Which is why it's story-wise, it makes sense that it would be adjacent to this abandoned construction location. But not that adjacent. Like, it's literally next door.
And also, like you said, there was no sound a second ago.
Yeah. And if I'm Shredder and I pick this location and there's a concert going next door, I'd rethink this whole thing. It's not a good leader.
Well, Shredder also doesn't really care about any collateral damage.
I guess, sure. So he gets tossed into this underground concert. On stage, Vanilla Ice and his audience are stunned to see two large turtles fighting. The rest of the fight arrives, and the audience is convinced this is all part of the show. Vanilla Ice starts rapping about what's going on, going as far as calling them Ninja Turtles. Meanwhile, Donatello and Professor Perry realize that all the burping the monsters are doing will slow down the effect of the antidote, and figure to use fire extinguishers to reintroduce CO2 into their system.
Why didn't they use like soda or something?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I get the fire extinguishers.
I get it.
But
and that's also all they had around them, I guess.
Okay. But for a movie that's supposedly not trying to get kids to use weapons, later on, they force feed fire hydrant extinguishant to the bad guys.
While Vanilla Ice is rapping about it.
An extremely common household item.
Yes.
Every house and every building has a fire extinguisher.
And if it doesn't, it should.
And you're not supposed to play with them.
No.
Like, number one thing you don't do with a fire extinguisher is play with it, right? And here...
They can be very dangerous.
They can't use their fake swords, but they can use a fire extinguisher and put it in the mouths of their enemies.
But Casey Jones can't beat the shit out of people with a baseball bat. Like, come on.
Yeah, or a cricket club, which is... You can't find one of those in America, so... So the ninja rap, do you want to... Because we're doing this. It's only a matter of are we doing it now or at the end of the plot. Do you want to read the lyrics?
Let's read it now, since it's relevant.
We're going to read the lyrics.
I love the dance.
Yeah, the dance is good.
I also love how Vanilla Ice, like, as he's watching the fight happen, he starts, like, nodding his head as if he's, like, thinking of what to start rapping about.
Yeah. I think the best acting goes to Vanilla Ice as a competent rapper.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Vanilla Ice, but I do love this whole sequence of the movie. As bad as it actually is. By the way, this is available on Apple Music and Spotify and all that shit. So if you want to hear it, if you want to add it to your playlist.
Spoiler alert, it gets worse as the song goes on.
Oh, like the verses get worse?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so verse 1. You ready?
Yeah.
Yo, it's the Green Machine. Gonna rock the town without being seen. Have you ever seen a turtle get down? What does that mean?
Turtle get
down. Slamming and jamming to the new swing sound. Yeah, everybody, let's move. Vanilla is here with a new jack groove. Gonna rock and roll this place with the power of the Ninja Turtle bass. Iceman, you know I'm not playing. Devastate the show while the turtles are saying. And here's the hook. Ninja rap. I don't remember how that part goes.
Ninja rap.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Ninja, rap, ninja, rap, go. Go, ninja, go, ninja, go. Go, ninja, go. That's by far the best part of the whole song is the go, ninja, go.
And it's so repetitive.
Go, ninja, go.
He does like a really good dance, too. It's
yeah, that part's good. It's very 90s. I love it. All right. Not bad verse if we're going to break the song down, but it gets worse. Verse number 2. Lyrics, fill in the gap. That's literally what he says. As in, he can't think of anything. Lyrics, fill in the gap. Drop that bass and get the ninja rap. Feel it, if you know what I mean. Give it up for those heroes in green. Just flowing, smooth with the power. Giving it up hour after hour. Because in this life, there's only one winner. No, there's not. There's many. You better aim straight so you can hit the center. That doesn't rhyme. In it to win it with a team of 4 Ninja Turtles that you gotta adore. It's the Ninja Rap. Ninja Rap. Okay, so I started like losing it there towards the end, right? Okay, you ready for verse 3?
And keep in mind, this whole song's going on while they're fighting.
Yeah. Villains, you better run and hide, because one day you might not slide. Okay. So choose your weapon, but don't slip. Vanilla's in control with the flex of the mic grip.
Oh, he had to make it about himself.
Obviously. Rocking the crowd the way it should be rocked with the Miami drop that you like a lot. You know it's hitting like a Ninja Turtle. When the bass kicks in, you better check your level. The power of the ninja is strong, fighting all the crooks until they're out cold. There was no attempt to rhyme anything there.
No, and I actually have an interview pulled up right now with MTV.com with Vanilla Ice. And one of the questions they ask is, so did you start from scratch or did you adapt a song you had previously been working on? And then Vanilla Ice said, I wrote the song in a hotel room using an SP-1200, which is an old school drum machine. It took me maybe 30 minutes to write it, and the rest we completed in the studio.
Whoa.
He wrote the song in half an hour.
In fairness, and I don't want to come to Vanilla Ice's defense, however, in the context of this movie, he's completely like making this up as he goes along.
Right, which
so
it kind of works.
It shouldn't be great. If he got up there and started spinning Hamilton, I'd be like, all right, come on. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm okay with like something as stupid as lyrics, you fill in the gap. And then he just rhymes from there. But the third verse doesn't even rhyme at all. Like,
no, not at all.
Like, look, I'm not a rapper. It's not that I know about this kind of thing, but like, if you're like a famous rapper, you should be able to like make stuff up on the spot, you know?
Right.
And like rap battle and stuff. That's all things you should do.
I will say though, like, as much as I'm not a fan of Vanilla Ice and his music, the fact that he just wrote this in 30 minutes and it got featured in a movie and it became fairly popular, all of that's kind of impressive.
I think it's more impressive that, I mean, is it? He was very famous at the time and they wanted a famous star in the movie.
Right.
So, is it impressive?
It's impressive that it became as popular as it did.
I'm saying, if you watch a movie now, and like,
I still love the scene.
Someone famous is in this, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, good for you." I don't know, you know.
Good for you.
Look, it's fun. Okay, I'll give you that. It's fun. It's bonkers and it's fucking ridiculous.
But it is fun and it's memorable.
There is a level of Ninja Turtles to it that the Ninja Turtles would accidentally bring their fight into like a club or a concert
where they're accidentally exposed and
they love it because this is secretly all they've ever wanted, right? Like
they're famous now and they love it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also they're fighting and there's music and they get to dance and they get to party. They're party dudes, right?
They do stop the fight and like dance a little bit too.
Yeah, as soon as the fight's over, they start dancing. So I'm with it. Look, I think there's a better version of this out there in the ethos somewhere. Like this could have been, you know, handled better,
right?
Especially the more we go on. But you know, as an idea on a whiteboard, I'm totally with it. There was
it's fun
in the cartoon. Sometimes they had like a band, didn't they? I need to look this up,
maybe
because in certain it was non-canon, but I think there was a non-canon version of the Ninja Turtles where they had a rock band and they would tour because they sold these toys and I owned them, where all the turtles had a instrument and they had a band and they had like a rock band and everything, and they had very 90s like rock outfits. Like
it reminds me of that Sonic cartoon where they all played an instrument. It's not good, but it's very 90s.
So they're all wearing like acid wash jeans and like tank tops, and like some of them have bling.
I don't know anything about this.
I'm going to show you afterwards because I want to at least be able to talk about it with some knowledge.
Right.
In a future episode, or in the next 2 episodes, we're talking about Ninja Turtles some more. But there is a version of the Ninja Turtles where they have a rock band.
Oh my god.
So we'll get into it.
Okay.
Okay. So the turtles trip Tokka and Razar and use the fire extinguishers down their throat. They pass out. Yeah, this is the part we talked about.
It's kind of fucked up, too.
It is. Again, in a movie that you're, you know, not trying to show kids how to use weapons out of everyday everyday stuff that they probably already own. Well, here's something way more dangerous.
And it ended up being like one of the most fucked up things they did in the movie.
Yeah.
They shoved the nozzle of the fire extinguisher like down their throat.
Because kids recreate stupid shit like this.
Right.
Have you ever seen the movie Three Ninjas?
No.
Have you ever heard of the movie Three Ninjas?
No.
It's not very good.
Oh,
it's a movie about... It came part of this ninja craze. It came out in the early 90s. It might have been inspired by Ninja Turtles for all I know. It's three boys who are trained in they're three brothers and they're trained in martial arts. And then something happens and I think their parents are out of the picture for whatever reason and they have to take matters into their own hands. Oh. So, by the way, their age is 12, 10, and 8. They're young. Damn. And so they go and they save the day by being the Three Ninjas. It was one of my favorite movies when I was maybe 6 years old. And in the ultimate fight in that film, one of the kids has jelly beans with him all the time, in his pocket, because he's a kid. Okay. And he's fighting the guy. And the way he gets the upper hand is like the bad guy, the villain of the movie, an adult. They're fighting and he grabs a handful of the jelly beans and he shoves them in the bad guy's mouth. And the bad guy starts choking on the jelly beans.
Oh my God.
And then he punches them and then they beat him or something. That's how the movie kind of ends, right? We'll look up Three Ninjas after this too. Oh my God. Three Ninjas, people. I remember me being... I could tell you how old I was.
Did you try to shove candy in someone's mouth?
My dad. We were play fighting. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I want to play fight Three Ninjas." He was like, "Okay." And I had snuck a bunch of candy in my pocket, and I shoved them in his throat. And I am not sure if he A, thought it was funny, or B, actually choked. I think maybe he told me, "Don't do that again." But the point here is, kids are fucking stupid, and they'll do any stupid shit that you show them on TV, especially if it's dangerous and with household everyday items.
Easily accessible. Yeah.
Like jelly beans or fire extinguishers. What I'm saying is, I will not write off any child at one point in the 90s having shoved a fire extinguisher in someone else's mouth. Because they saw it on this movie. So think carefully about what you put on here, I guess. Because, I still feel like the swords and the nunchucks would have been easier. Because kids play with plastic swords and nunchucks that aren't dangerous.
Right. I remember going to the dollar store and buying a little plastic katana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the issue there? They don't sell toy fire extinguishers.
They shouldn't if they do. I hope they don't. I don't think they can.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, so where am I? The Foot arrive to the fight, and the turtles have a blast fighting them to the music. They attack Tatsu by crashing all four of their shells together. That looks incredibly painful, by the way. He probably would have died. He just passes out. Once the Foot are done, they start dancing with the crowd and dance their way onto the stage with Vanilla Ice.
Who's still rapping.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't stopped. He's rapping those 3 verses we went over. Shredder breaks in and takes the stage. This part feels like a stage show at Disney or Universal Studios because they're all on a stage and then Shredder joins them on stage and now they're talking to each other facing the audience.
Something where you'd be sitting in a row of seats just watching.
Ooh, here's the bad guy.
Kind of like that Terminator show that they used to have at Universal.
Yes. Yeah, it does feel like that. Although that was a very high budget thing.
I really like that show. I'm sad they removed it.
James Cameron actually filmed it on set.
Oh shit.
Yeah. James Cameron's always about reinventing the fucking media.
Yeah.
So at this point he wanted an interactive movie experience to serve as a sort of an actual canon sequel to Terminator 2. So that whole and
they even introduced a new Terminator type, the T1 million.
I have no idea.
It was something ridiculous.
But that movie, there's a little documentary about it. But that movie, that whole show, it's 15 minutes. That is canon filmmaking, and has all the actors.
And they used the actors and everything.
Yeah, no, James Cameron filmed it. It wasn't the Harry Potter thing where just some bozo filmed it, on a green screen. No, they put work into this. It was a movie
for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. Anyway, that was better than this, which is a real movie. So Shredder breaks in. He's on stage. They're just throwing kind of quips back and forth. After a short back and forth with Shredder, Kino arrives, jumps on stage, and kicks the canister out of Shredder's hands. Shredder takes a hostage. Donatello turns up an amp, and Mikey plays the keytar. The sound is so loud that it explodes the speaker and sends Shredder through a wall and into the docks outside.
I think this is the last time we see Kino in the movie.
He's not in the end?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. So before anyone's like, oh, Kino saved the day, he comes in at the back of the club and he's like, wait! And then he pushes his way all the way forward. This takes about 5 seconds. And he jumps on stage in front of Shredder, who hasn't done a goddamn thing about this.
He's just standing there.
He's standing there still with the canister held outright like this so that Kino can kick it out of his hands. Like, it's again, this is a contrived thing where they wanted Kino to do something here.
So they forced it to happen.
Yeah.
No.
Like, how incompetent has Shredder become? How the mighty have fallen is what I'm saying.
Maybe that trash compactor did something to his brain.
Probably.
Because he is nowhere near as intelligent as he used to be.
No, not at all. And this series of events is very confusing because he has a hostage that the turtles don't react to at all. They don't seem to care. They just turn up an amp. And again, Shredder just stands there, allows all this to happen. Shredder... Okay, here's another thing. There was one canister left, right?
Yeah.
They used it, right? What's this one?
Yeah, did they make more?
I don't know. It's a full canister. It's not like, oh, I got a little bit left. Because then he pulls out a smaller vial.
Right.
And then he's like, this is the last of it.
So how much of this ooze was actually left?
But my point is, that other canister is a plot hole because we established there's only one left. They used at least some of it, and now he has a full canister again. They probably used all of it. And it only exists so that Kino can kick it out of his hands.
So that he doesn't use it.
But he had another vial with him.
Right.
So they could have just written all of that out and just have him pull out a little vial, which would have been more exciting because now you know, oh, there's a tiny bit left.
That he saved for
he saved
this very
it
reason.
for just this, exactly, for himself maybe. Instead, there's another canister, which plays no part either. They kick it out of the way and it's done with. It's over.
They don't even acknowledge it afterwards.
I think the professor goes and picks it up. And then, yeah,
that's it.
So, the guitars, come on, man. Can you get more 80s, 90s?
I like that.
And you know what? I'm not sure, but the whole rock band thing we were talking about, I think Michelangelo might play the guitar. One of them might actually play the guitar.
Oh, shit.
We'll look into it. But if he turned it up so loud, why didn't it affect the hostage that he's holding?
Plot.
Yeah, but in a bad movie, right? So he gets knocked out into the docks. Toka and Razar are reduced to their former selves, a snapping turtle and a wolf. Except it's not a wolf, it's clearly a dog. They suggest, it's like a little like husky thing. They suggest celebrating with cowabunga when a fist breaks through the dock. Shredder drank the last vial of ooze and is now enormous, with bigger armor too. He starts knocking out... Oh, and they call him Super Shredder. I didn't say that here. He starts knocking out columns until the whole dock falls on top of him, killing him. The turtles jump into the water safely.
So basically, Shredder drinks the vial, becomes strong, and then kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
The turtles even say, like, be reasonable. Like, you're about to kill, like, all of us.
I like, and by that I think it's kind of silly, that Leonardo runs all the way up to him and is like, can you be reasonable? Clearly not.
You're going to bring down this whole dock.
You're looking at an, like, 8-foot tall mutated man of a man you already knew wasn't reasonable.
He does run up to him and tell him to be
and
reasonable.
you're trying to talk reason into this man? No. That's out the window. But it's just a weird kind of tag to this action third act, right?
And then they're like, oh, fuck, that's right, we're turtles. We can swim?
The water's 2 feet from them. I don't know why they didn't jump in the first place.
Even if you weren't turtles, jump in the water. Like,
yes, no, seriously. Like, I'm a human that knows how to swim. I'm fine. There's no fight here. There's almost no reason why to introduce the quote-unquote Super Shredder for him to be in the movie for 1 minute. Again, they don't fight. It's a very thinly veiled attempt just to sell toys, right?
Yeah. The reboot of the Ninja Turtles movie did like a Super Shredder type character better than this.
Oh yeah, he's got like big pseudo armor thing.
He becomes like a Transformer.
He becomes like an Iron Man.
Ironmonger.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, you're right. They did do Super Shredder better in that movie that I think is just as bad as this one.
Yeah, I did like the sequel to that movie though. Out of the Shadows, I liked.
Okay,
We'll eventually get to that.
We'll get into it. Not anytime soon. Probably we're gonna probably break these up, but
yeah,
it's a different franchise. The naming him Super Shredder is definitely the part where I'm like, this is for toys. That being said, I had this toy I liked it a lot.
Of course you did.
And there are some really cool Super Shredder toys out there, like modern,
So it worked.
hot toy kind, like with a lot of detail and stuff. Yeah, but where's the logic here? Like, he takes the vial. Again, you remember what we talk about? Like, if you want to introduce something in a movie, you'll believe anything as long as you introduce it in the first act of the film, right?
Right.
So we know throughout this film, the mutagen radioactive ooze, as they call, it's gonna make you big and yada yada and stronger and blah blah blah, right? And he just took it, a human. We haven't seen a human take it, so we would presume he's gonna turn into this huge hulking man of a mutant.
Right.
But his armor got more badass and spiky and larger.
His armor mutated too.
That doesn't make sense in any universe.
It doesn't.
You know what I mean? What?
But I mean, it's pretty in line with this movie, though.
Yeah, sure. It would only make sense if like he left and then came back and became like the third act villain,
Yeah.
which would have maybe been more fun or more at least reasonable.
Or
and
like-
he built this armor with more spikes and bigger spikes and
Or even just have it to where, like, maybe not have Shredder show up in the movie at all until later, where, like, let's say Tatsu. Is it Tatsu?
Tatsu.
He got some of the ooze and used it on, like, you know, on what we think is a dead Shredder. And then he comes back as that'd be better. Instead of Shredder just walking around being a moron, then taking this, being a bigger moron, and then dying.
Yeah. Probably my biggest problem with Shredder altogether is that it kind of ruins the one in the last movie, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good villain. So he just very quickly kills himself. So it's a very inconsequential end, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least they worked a little bit to beat Toka and Razar. And this one, they could have done nothing. I mean, they did do nothing. But had they done even... You know what I mean? Like,
it would have been better to just make the ninja rap scene a little bit longer than add this scene in it.
Sure, yeah.
At least that was an actual fight.
Or fight him at least a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just
fight.
shows up, knocks over some pillars. They're like, "What are you doing, dude?" And then
Yeah.
they jump away, and then he kills himself.
I mean, you compare this to the ending of the first movie. It's so much better. Like, the fight on the rooftop.
Yeah,
It's choreographed. Like, it's... You know,
yeah,
like
it's-
they're actually evenly matched, and they're like, what are we gonna do? Like, anyway, back at the subway station, Splinter asks the turtles if they were seen. They lie and say no, but Splinter reveals a front page photo on the newspaper with the headline "Ninja Rap is born."
And then he tells them all to do 10 flips, and then he says, "Go ninja, go ninja, go!" And then he goes, "Ha! I made another funny."
Yeah, that's not bad. That's the kind of like silliness that I'm here for, you know. But
And then we get the freeze frame, and then the credits
frame.
roll.
We skipped the first freeze frame. It was fantastic. I think when they appear at the mall, they all jump in the air, freeze frame, and the title screen.
Oh yeah,
I like that freeze frame. That's a good one.
you don't see freeze frames anymore unless it's done to like
No.
make fun of freeze frames.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, within the context of the era, I think
Yeah.
that first freeze frame is really good.
It was a very like 80s and 90s thing. Kind of disappeared in the 2000s.
Yeah, so there we have it. That's the movie.
Yeah. It's not good, but there's like a lot of fun and good stuff in it.
Yeah, you can definitely have fun with this movie, and I
Yeah.
think
I think that was the point of this movie, at least from the perspective of them making this movie.
I still
Like, clearly they're trying to sell toys. That's why they made this movie.
yes.
They're trying to sell toys, make money off of the success of the first movie.
Yeah, but I do find it hard to hate this movie, like outright hate it, because although it is a bad movie, there is so much, you know, kind of enjoyable aspects that make you... It almost makes me angry that I can't hate it. Like, I want to be like, oh yeah, don't ever watch, you know, 2 or 3. Like, I can't. I can say, like, oh yeah, you know, 2 is not as good.
It's not as
It's
good, but there's still
fun.
some stuff
Like, you
to
will still
enjoy.
have fun watching it. Like,
I was
you're
never bored watching this.
That's exactly what I was going to get to. You will not be bored watching this. It is entertaining. You know, you're going to have fun with the turtles. And I think the credit here is you made the turtles enjoyable characters. Therefore, you will watch them do anything.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's how I feel about movies. Like, I've said this, I'll watch a movie that is, I don't care how long. As long as the characters are entertaining and I like them, I'll watch them do anything. It doesn't matter.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why, like, the Lord of the Rings works, You know, and we talked
and
about
those movies are long.
they're so long. We talked about Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'll watch 4 hours because I like these characters and I like what they're doing. So it doesn't matter to me how long the movie is.
Yeah.
Here's a movie that's not very good, but I like the characters. So
I know I said that one of my issues with the first movie was that it was too short. I think this movie being short helps it.
yeah, because it's a bad movie.
Right. If it was longer, I think it would have felt like it was dragging.
It would have fell apart even more.
Right.
Right.
Because this movie clocks in at like, what, an hour and 20-something minutes?
28 minutes, and that's obviously with credits.
With credits that are like 8 minutes long.
Probably. Or
So like
longer,
an hour and 20 minutes. It's, again, this is another like TV movie length movie.
Yeah. It's kid length, too.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
And it is easily digestible for kids.
I would love an extended cut of the first one. We talked about this last week, that movie needed to be a lot longer because
Yes.
it is very good and it's good despite its short length. Whereas this, I'm like, it's fine at this length, like you said.
It's fine.
Because any longer, it would just fall apart even more.
It was already having a hard time keeping the plot going.
Yeah. So we talked about this when we talk about the themes, but just to reiterate, in case you jump straight here to analysis, you skipped us talking about plot. Listen, go back. We went through the whole ninja rap for fuck's sake. What more do I got to do for you?
Can we play like a sample of it in the recording?
No.
No. Would we get flagged for something?
Yeah.
Fuck.
On YouTube. I've done it. I've done it where I put it on the podcast because I don't give a shit.
Right.
Because it's not monetized or anything like that. But then on YouTube, they're like, we're gonna ruin your algorithm, and
That's
they do.
right. And they do because they're very strict about that.
Yeah. The one time I did it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not monetizing it, so leave it. Our channel got buried, and then I got like no views for like a month.
We got shadow banned.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So look it up. And plus, do you have to look it up? I just saying the whole thing for you.
It's a little bit better when Vanilla Ice is singing it.
Sure. But you know what though? Not that much better. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's exactly what it sounds
Look
like.
up the scene so you can watch him do the dance and everything with his crew on stage because it's a fun dance.
No, watch the movie.
Watch the whole movie. It's a fun movie. It's not a good movie,
What
but it's
I
a
was
fun
saying,
movie.
the themes. Yeah, exactly. What I was saying, sequel to a movie that had maybe too much emphasis on a single theme has no themes at all. Right? We talked about that there was only 1 minute about the circumstances of your origin does not define you or your worth. But again, they don't really touch up on that enough,
No.
right? And that's something that you can make a whole movie about. I think that would have been very interesting, but then you would have to come up with another character to, contrast the turtles and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the title. It's like Secret of the Ooze. What's the secret? There is none. You're right off the bat.
What's the secret?
The secret's revealed in the first 10 minutes of the movie. If there was more attention to the thematics, to the what is it exactly that it means that you're, about your origin and like who you are and the fact that you're adopted, because this is an adoption story too. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are an immigrant story. They're also an adoption story. There's so much there you could explore, and they choose not to. And so this is a bit of an adoption story situation where, kids are told at a certain age, I'm not your real parents. And then they wonder, well, why don't my parents love me? Like, why did they abandon me? And they have this existential crisis of like, the circumstances of my birth define me as like not being worth something.
Yeah, it's like I'm not important, I'm not special because I was a mistake.
Exactly.
Right.
And Donatello questions that for a minute, and Splinter's like, no, you're not a mistake. Let's move on with the rest of this movie. Like,
Yeah.
you could have done something there.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame that they didn't because that could have been really good.
Yeah. They could have done a Shazam where that whole movie's about like adoption and family and who you belong and that your circumstances don't define you and yada yada.
Your actions do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it just seems like this movie's written around certain plot points and fights and selling action figures instead of those themes. The weapons, we talked about this, never get used. It's a hindrance to the actual action of this movie that they don't use their weapons, I think.
Yeah.
They don't come up with a creative reason to why they wouldn't use the weapons, with the exception of the very first scene where they're just fighting idiots. So there's no need to pull out the swords and size and whatever.
Yeah, let's slaughter these teenagers for stealing TVs.
Exactly.
Actually, it was a toy store. Let's slaughter these teenagers for robbing a toy store.
It looked like a mall because there was a toy store. There was like an
Yeah.
eatery thing. I think there was like a...
But it was also like down. Was it a subterranean mall?
They have those in other states.
Do they?
Because, yeah.
I mean, I live in Florida,
There's one in Atlanta. I don't think
so
it's there
there's
anymore,
not
though.
subterranean anything here because
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
water.
It's hard for us to really kind of wrap our brains around that.
Yeah.
The choreography is still there. There's just not enough of it, I think. You do see them do amazing stunts.
Yes.
I just would have liked them in important plot places, like when they're fighting the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's when maybe you should bring out your martial arts skills, right?
And what'd you think about the costumes though?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Did you notice how different their faces look in this movie?
It was a little jarring at first.
Yes. So what happened was they had a bigger budget, and so they built technically better puppets.
Right.
So they had better like masks and servos and stuff. And the other one, apparently they had like all their machinery like in their back hidden in the shell.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like all these wires and things pulling into their masks that
Okay.
moved all like the little muscles, where this one was all built into the mask, into the head. That's what I read. But they also made the eyes bigger. It took me a minute to realize this. It bothered me the whole movie.
It only bothered me like the first half. By the end of the movie, it didn't bother me anymore. But at first, I was like, something looks off about them now.
It looks off, and I couldn't tell what it was until I was shown what it was. It's their eyeballs are much bigger, and it makes them look cuter. It cutesified them. Because, you make eyes bigger, and
things
they
look cuter.
They look cuter, yeah. And that's what they did because they wanted to make them look more family-friendly. But what happened is they don't look real anymore. Asterisk on real, right? Because they're Ninja Turtles.
Right. It crossed into like the whole Uncanny Valley thing.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. Because what I said last week about those costumes in the first movie is that they have the inverse of the Uncanny Valley phenomenon.
Where you kind of buy into it.
You buy into it and you don't know why, right? They look real even though they're obviously not. Yeah. And there's something about that design. I said they harken a little bit to Kermit the Frog, and maybe that's what it is. If you know Kermit the Frog, maybe you buy into like their facial expressions. There is something about those turtles, and I've been analyzing pictures of them online. What is it about these masks that look real and the other ones that don't? And it all boils into
the
eyeballs. Okay, let's look at that right there.
Okay.
And then we're going to link these pictures down in the description. You can look at them. But I want you guys to really look at the difference between the eyeballs in these turtles and this one.
It's like they tried to make them look more like the cartoon characters.
Yeah. They do look more like... Again, like you go to a theme park and you see like the real life costume of a cartoon character.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You see how big Mikey's eyeballs are?
Yeah.
Compare that to this. Or
that.
It's a small difference, but it's big enough to make like a big impact. You know what I mean?
It's amazing how big of an impact it actually makes.
Look at Donatello. His face looks horrible. And he's the one that I noticed the most because he has kind of a lot to do in this movie.
Right.
But his mask looks worse than all the other ones, I think. They look a little bit friendlier, like a little bit softer.
Right.
And it's almost for no good reason because it's not that they weren't friendly in the first movie. They're very friendly in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess they just look a little less grungy. Their lips are a little like more rounder.
It's like they cleaned them up too much.
Yeah.
Like too much polish.
So like we said, like the Uncanny Valley, that's a phenomenon where if you design a character in CGI, mostly a human face, and it's
too realistic,
it becomes not real looking at all.
You know something's wrong, but
yes.
You can't pinpoint what it
right.
is.
It triggers something in your brain, and your brain warns you that's not a real person. So it looks way further off than if it were less realistic, right? This, what I'm saying by inverse Uncanny Valley, is that they're fucking Ninja Turtles. They shouldn't look real. They shouldn't look like actual beings that would exist.
And the first movie, like, they clearly look fake, but
you buy
in the
into it for
context
some
of
reason.
the movie,
yeah.
like, it's not bugging you.
No, you buy into it right away.
Yeah.
You know it's a puppet, but you feel that's a real puppet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's like in the second movie, yeah, the costumes are better, but they don't look better.
Look at how ungrizzled and friendly Raphael looks.
Raphael looks way too friendly.
He looks too cute. Where he's supposed to be angry.
Supposed to be, yeah.
And here he is having a good time. We're looking at pictures of the first one.
And he still looks a little rough, you know.
But he looks a little rough around the edges. He looks... I can't explain this. He looks more real.
I can't explain it. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't put it into words.
These ones look like they could be real Ninja Turtles, and these don't. That's all I know. That's all I know. So, it's that.
Does the third movie use like these same character
No,
designs?
they didn't use Jim Henson, so apparently they're even worse.
Oh, okay.
You modified these costumes so that they would work better. Is it better in the long run? Absolutely not. Like, you went too far. You made too many changes. You should have added those like mechanics, those little servos and motors and new facial expressions to the original masks without changing those masks. You know, you had it already.
Same masks,
made.
but have the faces move a little bit more.
Exactly. That's what they should have done. But
I mean, that being said, like, just still from a technical standpoint, these are impressive.
yeah, I feel like they're just less impressive because we already saw them once.
True.
You know, but you're absolutely right. Like,
But also, like, thinking like, oh, this is 1991. You know.
yeah, it's basically the same exact era. So, I mean, I wouldn't be against when they make this again live action to do some kind of. I mean, they're going to use CGI, obviously, but like do some marriage of the two, because this does have a tangibility that even the new movies didn't, because you knew they were CGI, and they technically looked better CGI, but like you knew that they weren't there. You can't touch them. Or this, the
CGI one gave him like noses and stuff, and it was a little weird though.
Oh, that too.
I ended up getting used to it, but like when I first saw the designs, I was like, ooh, there's something very off-putting about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of good jokes. There's a lot of good witty dialogue, I think. There's a lot of witty dialogue that covers up bad storytelling. Like we said.
It's like they went out of their way to make sure that this was going to be a fun movie, but they put almost no thought into like the plot or anything like that.
I mean, obviously my favorite parts are some of the banter. It's some classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. Like we said before, though, if you have to take time to make fun of how poorly written the movie is, maybe you should try again. Start over.
Maybe, write it not poorly.
Exactly. Because obviously you know it is. So let's move on to the inaugural Keep or Cancel lightning round. God, I'm sorry. My throat is not having a good day. So I'm going to try my best to sound as excited as I can about our lightning round.
I'm going to get sick now, aren't I?
Probably.
Fuck.
All right, we're back. We can do this. Okay, Keep or Cancel lightning round. Are you ready?
Yes.
So we don't have one interesting person that we can talk about for 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes as we usually do. So instead, we're going to go through about 6 people. 5. Is that 5?
Yeah, and I think the most interesting person is Vanilla Ice.
Maybe. François Chau. This is the guy who replaced the other Shredder. He plays Shredder.
Okay, so this is the new Shredder.
This is a new Shredder. The guy inside the mask, not the voiceover, because the voiceover guy was the same. Reason I know this man speaks English is because he's done a lot of stuff. He was Dr. Chang in Lost.
Oh, I don't remember too much from Lost.
You remember him. He's the Asian guy who narrates all of the Dharma videos.
Oh, okay.
He's like, welcome to the Swan Station, where your job is to blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that character because you only ever see him in the recordings for like 3 seasons, and you see him like again and again, and he just looks like, he's in charge of this whole Dharma thing.
Right.
And then later on, you learn like a little bit more and more about like how it's kind of a front, and they're like tricking people.
There's more going on.
Yeah. By the infamous time travel season, you actually get to like see him, like not in like a recording,
like in the flesh.
Yeah.
Per se.
So, welcome to the Dharma Initiative, and namaste. He's done a lot of stuff. He's NCIS, a bunch of other TV shows. The Expanse.
I've heard some really good things about that show. I feel like I need to start it.
Amazon. Is it good?
I've heard it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dr. Chang in Lost, he also played Dr. Chang in a movie called 21 and Over, which makes me question how
A
stereotypical
lot of
Asian
Dr.
character
Changs.
names are.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was also a mob boss in Birds of Prey. So an
So
actual
one of the
comic
random
book
ones
movie.
that get killed.
I don't remember that much from that movie. I need to watch it again. But I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't recognize him. So François Chau. Keep or cancel?
Keep? I mean, has he done anything wrong?
No, but it's not always about that, bro.
He's a good actor.
It's about do you like him or not.
I like him.
It's supposed to be as trivial as possible.
Okay.
Okay, so we got two people here that sound very similar. We have Kevin Nash and Kevin Clash. Who do you want to do first?
We can do Kevin Nash.
All right, I was about to say pick one.
Kevin
pick,
Nash,
pick one out.
the wrestler.
Yeah, pick one at random. Kevin Nash, the wrestler. Kevin Nash plays Super Shredder since he's very
For 2 seconds.
tall
But yeah,
and-
he's a very tall man.
right. How tall is he?
6 foot something. 6 feet 10 inches.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a giant, dude.
That makes sense. That's why you cast this man
He's a very, very tall man.
to be just covered up and just kind of stand there broodingly
Yeah.
for a couple seconds.
Kevin Nash wrestled in like WCW and WWF. WWF is what the WWE used to be called.
Yeah, but then the World Wildlife Federation
sued them.
Yeah.
And then they had to change their name. Kevin Nash was also one of the, I think, 3 founding members of the NWO.
I remember the NWO. I didn't really grow up with wrestling, but I remember the NWO because they were like the bad guys. And I remember
and they
when-
were like cool, edgy bad guys.
Yeah. And I do remember when Hulk Hogan like joined them.
And he became Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh,
He wore a
man.
lot of black. And I'm like, oh, fuck, he's a bad guy.
He wore a lot
now.
of black. He had the bandana and the sunglasses.
Yeah. Wrestling is stupid.
But I love it.
Is he one of those wrestlers that's like, is he always the bad guy?
Well, Nash and his wife, Tamara, got married in 1988, but separated in 2000. But they later reconciled. And together they have a son who was born in 96. And their son's a musician and a poet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and their family lives in Daytona.
Oh, wow.
And he's part Native American.
That's pretty cool. What does he do now? Is he still wrestling?
I don't think he wrestled.
No, I mean, obviously he's not wrestling, but is he still doing like TV stuff? Does he do appearances?
Currently, he might be retired.
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay.
retired January 5th, 2020. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So recently. He did get arrested for battery in 2011 for assaulting a drunk man in a parking lot while he and his wife were leaving.
Why would you pick a fight with a 6'10"
Yeah.
wrestler?
But all charges against him were cleared, saying he was acting in self-defense. So he was arrested, but he was cleared.
Okay, why
So-
would you attack a 6'10" wrestler? Like,
Unless
if
it
you're
was
The
in
Rock.
a restaurant parking lot in Florida, so who the fuck knows?
Florida man attacks Kevin Nash, the literal super shredder.
So Kevin Nash I think he's pretty cool.
Keep?
Yeah, keep.
Okay.
He's tall.
So, Kevin Clash, the other Kevin that rhymes with Kevin Nash. Do you know who Kevin Clash is without reading my notes?
No,
Oh, you've never heard of him?
nope.
He
But
is-
I'm reading your notes right now.
Don't read my notes. He is the main puppeteer for Elmo. And he's kind of this large...
Like always has been.
He was for like over 15 years.
Oh shit.
So
okay.
he didn't originate the character of Elmo. Elmo was sort of a background character for a few years in Sesame Street before, I guess, because he's supposed to be like this kind of cute, quote unquote, 3.5-year-old.
Right.
That the main puppeteer who was doing Elmo got frustrated and kind of quit the role, threw the puppet at Kevin Clash, who was puppeteering some other background character, and it just became his character.
So he's just like, all right, guess this is me now.
I guess I'm doing Elmo now, yeah. And he sort of reinvented that character because, again, he was just sort of a background puppet.
Right.
And turned it into the Elmo that we know now.
And now he has his own segment on the show. He has his own show, I think.
He has
too.
a late night show on HBO Max called The Not So Late Show. with
Elmo's like
Elmo.
one of the main characters now.
He's probably the most famous famous.
Yeah, you have the Tickle Me
Sesame
Elmo
Street.
toys. You have
Yeah.
Elmo's World.
Yeah, all that is that's Kevin Clash is doing. And it's funny when you see this guy because he's kind of like a larger black man with kind of a deep voice. And he's able to turn on that Elmo persona and that high-pitched voice and do Elmo. So he's super famous for doing Elmo, but he revealed to be in a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old
Oh,
when
no.
he was well in his 40s.
Okay, cancel.
Yeah, first of all,
Sorry, Clash.
he defended the relationship, but then 3 more allegations came out about him in underage relationships.
That's not good.
And so he quit the show. He wasn't entirely canceled, but he quit the show, and he's no longer Elmo. They replace him with someone else.
Well, yeah, someone like that shouldn't be the life of a children's character.
He, however, still works for the Jim Henson Company.
Why?
I don't know, but
How?
he was in Happy Time Murders, that like super R-rated Jim Henson movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't
that
seen it.
I haven't.
I
either.
thought it looked interesting, but
got really bad reviews. People hated it.
people hate everything, though.
That is true. People hate everything now. One of the most interesting things about him, though, I thought, is that he always said when he went and like visit kids outside of the show, so like he can't hide his body anymore. He's just holding the puppet
Right.
and controlling Elmo. Kids would never look at him. They always look at Elmo because they are convinced that Elmo is real, even though he's clearly a puppet.
Right.
And you can see the puppeteer. He's like, kids will never look at me. They always look at Elmo, and they'll only talk to Elmo.
Damn.
And there is something to be said there about like what we were talking about, like the reverse uncanny valley of like good puppeteering.
Yeah.
Is that you are willing to believe that this thing is real, even when you're shown irrefutable evidence that it's not.
Like Yoda.
Yeah, sure. Another Jim Henson puppet, actually. So obviously cancel. Yeah, fuck that
Yeah,
dude.
he's
He's a big piece of shit.
kind of gross.
Look, you gave the world Elmo, but that's not enough, dude. And you can't just start child molesting. I don't. He was in his 40s. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like he was like even if he was 20 and she was 16, that might be pushing it.
He's gay.
Oh, so it was a
Yeah,
he.
it was
another
a man.
Okay, all right.
He did one of those.
That doesn't change anything.
No, obviously not. But he did one of those. Kevin Spacey. He did a Kevin Spacey when he was kind of outed.
Oh, so he was outed as being this fucked up guy, and he goes, "Wait, I'm gay."
Gay, yeah, because they're like, "Oh, you're in this weird sexual
That's
relationship."
not going to make it okay.
Right. He's like, "Well, that's not the takeaway here. We get it. Like, we get that you're probably gay because you've been in a sexual relationship with a boy. That's not the takeaway. The takeaway is that he's underage."
Yeah.
And then
We don't care that you're gay. We care that you're a pedophile.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then you likely coerced them into the situation.
Oh, man.
So, anyway, cancel this fucker.
Yeah, he's
Fuck you, dude.
not a good look.
Anyway, Frank Welker. Frank Welker did the voices for Razar and Toka and Razar. You know,
okay.
all the grunts and all the stuff.
Yeah. Mama.
Right. And if you know anything about cartoons and video games, you'll recognize the name of Frank Welker because he's done literally everything. He is one of the most prolific voice actors in the industry. He has played Fred Jones in Scooby-Doo since its inception. So he's the only...
He is Fred Jones.
He is Fred. I think he's the only like voice actor to continue the Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, because I think everyone else has either died or been replaced.
Recasted. Yeah, even like Casey Kasem hasn't done Shaggy for the whole time. And he has done Scooby-Doo himself since 2002. So he does both Scooby and Fred. Yeah, he was in the movie Scoob, so he was the only actor from the series in Scoob. He's done Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and Epic Mickey. He was Megatron, Galvatron, and Soundwave in almost all Transformers things.
Including the live-action movies?
Sort of. He recorded Megatron for the first live-action movie, the 2007 movie, and then was replaced in post by, what's-his-face? Red Skull.
Oh.
Agent Smith.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, thank you.
Yeah.
He was replaced by Hugo Weaving, but Frank Welker recorded all the Megatron voices. Hugo Weaving didn't come back. So every Megatron after that is Frank Welker.
It's weird that they used Hugo Weaving to begin with when they had the original.
Yeah, I think they wanted the star power voice.
But that's just like, that's money you had to spend for no reason.
Exactly. And then you've got...
and Hugo Weaving doesn't usually do sequels.
Cushing? Who's the guy who does... True. The guy who does Optimus Prime, because he's the original voice.
The original Optimus Prime?
Yeah. He's the original voice. I forget his name. He hates the Transformers movies. He hates them with a fiery, burning
Well, so do
passion.
I.
No. Well, yeah, but he takes the paycheck.
Oh.
He goes in for one day, records all the lines, takes the paycheck, and then disses the movie for the rest of his life. But I mean, who wouldn't? Honestly, I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
So back on Frank Welker, Curious George, Garfield.
Peter Cullen was Optimus
Peter Cullen,
Prime.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
He even came back for the Bumblebee movie.
Yeah, he takes the paycheck.
Which Bumblebee I actually enjoyed.
I need to watch it. I haven't seen it.
I think it's like a soft reboot of that franchise.
Did a lot of voices for Chipmunks, G.I. Joe, Aladdin. He does. So most of the time where there's a animal, he's the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did all the animals in Aladdin, including the Cave of Wonders, which is a speaking role. Additional voices and the mouse from The Lion King.
So he's like the last generation's D. Bradley Baker, who is the current person that does like every animal in every cartoon you can think of.
I mean, he's still doing it.
He's still doing it?
He was the Bigfoot in the Goofy movie. In Independence Day, he's just credited as aliens. So I think he did all the aliens in Independence Day.
Wow.
Space Jam, Mars Attacks. In Mulan, he's like 5 characters. Bug's Life. This just goes on and on and on.
So
like,
every animated movie he's pretty much in.
Literally every animated movie ever made.
Has he done anything
This guy,
heinous?
I don't think so. Hold on. Oh, he was in the new Tom and Jerry. He played both Tom and Jerry.
Do they make noise?
Surely they make some noise. That's why they get Frank Welker. But you know what, though? Like, I love that he seems to be, like, almost unreplaceable. I mean, like you said, maybe like D. Bradley Baker, whatever. But, like, a lot of times in these newer kind of animated movies, they hire recognizable names instead of using voice
Instead
actors.
of using voice actors.
People that have never voice acted. Though they'd rather get a famous actor who's never done a voice role to do it so they can put it on the poster. But
Which kind of sucks because
it sucks a lot.
voice
Yeah.
acting's very different from regular acting.
And there's so many prolific voice actors. God, his filmography is fucking ridiculous. But here's a man that seems to not be able to be replaced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, super
He's good
cute.
at his job, so as long as he hasn't done anything weird or terrible, keep him.
Oh my God, he is I believe this 1,000%. He is the 3rd highest grossing film actor of all time. You would
just based on the amount of roles, yeah, I believe that.
You would not see that coming. Are you shitting me?
I mean, he's done hundreds of movies.
Oh my God, yeah, but still, like, I mean, you got like RDJ and The Rock, and he's 3rd.
They probably get paid the most per movie.
Sure, well, yeah, maybe. It links to an article, Frank Welker, the most successful Hollywood actor you've never heard of. Wow. That is incredible.
And who did Frank Welker? Oh, he was the 2 terrible villains in this movie.
Yeah. He did all the grunts.
Yeah.
His total worldwide box office growth, all the movies that he's ever been in, $17.4 billion.
That is actually very interesting.
Just try to guess how many film credits he has.
I'm going to guess over 200.
Multiply that by 4. He has 860 film credits.
Well, that's why he has so much money.
Television and video game credits.
He probably doesn't make as much per gig,
insane.
But he probably also doesn't put in as much time per gig.
I mean, voice acting takes like an afternoon per like movie.
Yeah. Well, depending on how many takes you end up having to do, but yeah.
Sure. All right, super keep.
Yeah, keep him. He's cool.
Super fucking keep. Robbie Rist. Do you know who Robbie Rist is?
The name's not familiar to me.
He was the voice of Michelangelo in all 3 of these movies.
Okay.
He's also a big time voice actor, but he is Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch. Did you watch the Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
Do you remember Cousin Oliver?
Sort of.
Here's why you don't.
That was literally him?
That was him. Yeah, that was him as a kid. For those of you who don't know, Brady Bunch. Everyone knows Brady Bunch, right? One of the most prolific shows.
Sure, everybody
sitcoms.
at least knows of it.
Yeah, of the 70s. The Brady Bunch, towards its last season, when it was starting to go down in ratings, the studio decided to introduce a new character, Cousin Oliver.
Who just randomly comes into town.
Yeah, comes to town. He has to be taken care of by the Bradys. And he's just like the annoying kid. And he annoys everyone. And the show got canceled. He was only in 5 episodes. And he was kind of, credited as like the doom of the Brady Bunch. After that, shows that introduce a new kid to save ratings with like inject it with bad jokes and gags and stuff.
Right.
That's known as the Cousin Oliver syndrome.
Oh.
So, and there's a bunch of shows that have done it. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Towards the last, they added a kid.
Yeah, and I don't know why shows did that. Like, why did they think that would save ratings?
I think
were they just trying to bring in more kids to watch
just
it?
Just to stir shit up, stir the pot.
Don't bring in an annoying kid to try and save your ratings.
I couldn't find which show he was introduced to afterwards, like as an adult.
Right.
Because at this point he's very infamous for ruining one of the the most prolific sitcoms of all time.
It's all his fault.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like 9 years old, but he went on a new show, and when they announced him and they brought him on stage or whatever, first thing he says is, "I promise I won't ruin this one." And I read that and I can't find what show it was. He has to live with this. But
what are some other like high profile things that he was in?
Okay, Sharknado.
Yes, the high-profile hit movie Sharknado.
He's done mostly voiceover work after that. So, Ninja Turtles. He was in Balto. He played one of the other Huskies. Batman animated series.
He played Choji in Naruto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mega Man Star Force. Doc McStuffins.
So, yeah, he is mostly voice acting.
He voiced Griffin in Terminator Salvation, as well as reprising his role as Michelangelo in a fan-made movie about Casey Jones. I want to watch that now. He had a voice role in the CGI Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV show also.
Okay.
So he ruined Brady Bunch cancel.
Yeah, fuck him.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I take it back. He was a kid. It's not his fault. And he's had to live with that his whole life.
He was in The Weekenders.
Oh my God, was he really?
Thompson Oberman? I don't know who that is.
It's probably like a side character.
Either a side character or like one of the parents, maybe. I mean, he does a lot of voice work.
Okay.
In relatively successful franchises.
Imagine you're 10 years old and you ruin one of the best TV shows of all time.
It is not his fault.
And you have to live with that the rest of your life.
That's on the writers and the producers.
Obviously. But he has to live with that. The fact this man hasn't killed himself is
poor guy.
Exactly. So good,
keep him.
Good on him. Keep him. I was kidding. Okay, next. I think we're all the way down to Vanilla Ice now.
Ooh, I got some stuff on Vanilla Ice.
Ice, baby.
Did you know that Vanilla Ice starred in his own movie?
I didn't know that because I read his Wikipedia article. It got an 8% Rotten Tomatoes, and I think he won a Razzie.
And the movie's called Cool as Ice.
What a fucking idiot.
He's like this cool, like, white boy gangster in the movie, but also he's like a good guy.
Oh, God.
Can we watch that movie one night, like, just amongst ourselves? Like,
I'm kind of down.
That's kind of like a drink and watch a terrible movie. Yeah. Like Vanilla Ice, Cool as Ice.
I don't think anyone will watch it with us. Ice Ice Baby. That's by far his most famous song. And
yeah.
He ripped off Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure.
Was it like actually ripped off, or was it like one of those like, oh, I sampled it and I had permission to use it?
Have you heard them side by side?
I've heard them side by side. Yeah, they're not identical.
They are actually identical.
I can tell the difference though,
with the exception of one pickup note.
Okay,
that's it. And Vanilla Ice very infamously like defended himself by saying that he said it's not the same because Under Pressure goes dun 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 dun, and his goes dun 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 dun. It has that one extra pickup note. Like that was his defense, to which everyone was like, "That's bullshit. You stole it."
Yeah.
He got sued by.
Oh, okay. So he didn't sample it. He stole it.
He stole it. He got sued, and it was settled out of court. So
okay. And it's still his most famous song, besides Ninja Rap.
By obviously, go Ninja, go Ninja, go. So Vanilla Ice, he did Ice Ice Baby, he did some other shit. There was a musical decline where people stopped listening to him. There was some drug abuse. He attempted suicide by way of heroin overdose.
So he's not a happy man.
That'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
He did a DIY network show, which I remember constant commercials for his new show where he's renovating a home. Vanilla Ice.
Huh?
Yeah, this was like 10 years ago. He was arrested multiple times for hitting his wife.
Oh, okay.
And apparently he's still making music. So, there you go.
He sucks. Cancel him.
Oh, dude, super cancel.
I feel like he kind of already is canceled.
I don't even like Ice Ice Baby. I remember Ice Ice Baby. I remember in the 90s, like I was a kid.
Oh, I remember it being huge and all over the radio. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember that clear as day. And that was
I
3
still
or
think
something?
the Ninja Rap is better.
Ninja Rap is horrible.
Well, not quality-wise, but just like it's more fun to listen to.
It's a better chorus.
Yes.
That's really all that song's good for. Cool. So we have kept/canceled every interesting person in this movie. Fantastic. Look at us go. Cool. All right, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts. What do you think? We're talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
I mean, it's not good. I can't say it's good. I had a lot of fun watching it. I wasn't bored at any point. The movie literally made me order pizza.
That is funny. It's funny because I was like, I want some pizza after I saw it, but you actually ordered pizza.
What it sets out to do, it actually does do. I'll give it credit for that. So I'm not going to put it into Phantom Zone because, again, it was a memorable part of my childhood, too. Like I said, when we got to the scene where they were holding the box of donuts, everything from there until the end, it unlocked a memory of my childhood. It made me smile.
Yeah.
But it's not a good movie. But no, definitely not in the Phantom Zone because there's some merit to this movie, at least.
Yeah. No, this movie's bad. It's a movie that you can enjoy if you enjoy these characters. Mm-hmm. The whole movie feels like a bad episode of your favorite TV show. You know what I mean? You'll still watch it, but you know it's bad.
Right.
You know?
You're like, this has been done better.
Yeah. You're like, this isn't the best one, but I'm going to watch it anyway. And if it comes on, you'll still watch it. That's how I feel about this. I love these characters. I love a lot of things that went into this movie, but this movie is bad, and I'm not sure if I like it. That being said, I have fun with it. Therefore, I will not put it in the Phantom Zone because it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's funny. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. There's a better movie that could have been made here by far. And there's one that could have felt more like a continuity, like sequel of the last one. Yeah. Where this one feels like there was a lot, like you said, if you can feel the studio interference and making it more kid-friendly, ignoring certain topics, going a certain direction. Last week I talked a lot about the cinematography and what I thought about how smartly shot that film was. Like we said, when Shredder's introduced, it's done so well because of how they shoot that scene.
They made him appear imposing.
Yeah, and you buy into it, and there's no words spoken, but the way you see all these characters, how they look at Shredder, and how he just walks in and commands the room, you're like, this is a serious villain. Or in this, there's a big fluffy wolf monster that gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he just goes, "Rah, babies!"
And he's like, dispose of them.
I feel like because they switched directors, apparently that's why Judith Hoag, I think is her name, the last April left. It's why I think Brian Henson wasn't that involved in this either, which is Jim Henson's, I think it's his brother.
Okay.
Who runs the company now. He wasn't involved because he was friends with the director that they didn't invite back for this. So there's all these pieces here that don't make it a sequel to that movie as well as it could have been.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, I would have loved to have seen that. We said that last week. We'd love to see more of this kind of movie for the Ninja Turtles. But that being said, it's bad, but it's still kind of enjoyable in its own way. I don't want to put it in the Phantom Zone because, I've seen this movie 1,000 times and I'll probably watch it again. Yeah.
Fair assessment on it.
Sure. I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. That was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze from 1991, meaning next week. Birdo, what movie are we doing?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. There's no subtitle.
There's
it's
no
just
subtitle. Here's the problem. When you set a precedent and you said, oh, we're doing subtitles, then you have to follow that. Yeah. You can't just be like, all right, now we're not doing subtitles. You know what I mean?
But from what I understand, this next one's even worse. So
I don't think I've seen this movie more than one time. I think as a kid, I had all 3 movies on VHS. I watched the third one once and I was like, this is horrible. And I went back to watching the first 2 a million more times.
I remember like the box art for the third one, but I don't remember if I ever watched it. Like I remember them with like the little samurai things on and stuff.
There's time travel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember they have a MacGuffin. It's like a scepter that looks like a lantern.
Okay.
And that's their time travel device. And then they go back to feudal Japan and they lose it. And then hilarity ensues and then they get it back and they come back.
So it's probably going to be like a worse version of the Turtles in Time arcade game.
That's like one of the most prolific Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games of all time.
I know. So this is going to be like a worse telling of like that whole time travel thing.
I mean, sure, but by a lot. It's like way worse. That's a good game.
People love that game.
Yeah, Talk on Razar in that game. They're one of the villains.
Of course they are.
Because that game is like all
It
the villains
incorporates
ever.
everything.
Yeah, it's comics, TV show, movies, all of it. Great game. Great box art, too.
Yeah.
Fantastic box art. I'll link the box art below. It's just so good. So much of my childhood I spent playing that arcade game. Both in my home and at arcades. So yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is also available on HBO Max. Very easy to watch. Watch it. Come hang out with us next week when we cover that movie. So that wraps it up for us. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for subscribing to YouTube or your podcast application of choice.
Or Twitch.
Or Twitch, yes. We're on Twitch. I'll get to that. Thank you to that piano dude for a musical intro. Make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, where you can leave ratings and reviews. That helps us somehow. I don't understand how algorithms work, but that helps. Please make sure to tell a friend. And if you have told a friend, thank you for telling a friend. And if you haven't told a friend, fuck you. I'm just kidding.
Do it.
You can find us on Instagram at Films from the Phantom Zone, and you can find us to argue with us at Twitter at Films from PZ. And you can listen to all these episodes on YouTube. You don't see us. Our faces aren't there.
Yeah.
But if that's how you like to consume your podcast, you can just put it on a computer and just kind of, do your thing, work from home, whatever it is that you're doing. You can listen to podcasts and us on YouTube. All these episodes are recorded live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the show, get on Twitch. We're on most Monday nights. We're probably going to we do 3 episodes a month. And there's 4 to 5 Mondays in a month. So we're probably not going to do every Monday. But a lot of Mondays, we're going to be here probably around 9 o'clock. Come hang out with us. We talk to whoever's in the chat. Sable says, Reese's Puffs.
Peanut butter chocolate flavor.
That's her contribution to Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Go Ninja, Go. So if you want to add that kind of fucking insight to our episodes, come on, argue with us. If we're doing your favorite movie, we want more insight. So come give us your opinions on Twitch, twitch.tv/filmsfrompz.
Also, if you watch us on Twitch, you can actually see us.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was what I was getting to.
If you care about that.
Our stupid looking faces are on Twitch. If you like the show, you want to support the show, you can do that at Patreon. We're still figuring that out. So thank you. Other than that, you guys, that's all I got. We will see you next week with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I've been Arnaldo, and I got
Birdo
next to me. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.